All right, well, we're live. There you are.
What's up? Joint fun football podcast and shots on the sideline episode. And we
Yeah,
got
Joe, you're
Joe.
Joe, you're there you go.
Yeah, I had it muted on purpose.
You had to do a dad thing.
Doing the dad thing and also, like give you a chance to run your intro and stuff like that.
Oh, true. All right, so what we're going to be doing today, folks, is this is going to be a debut of the Blitzing the Blind Side panel cast that we're going to be doing with myself, Med. We got Isaac, we got Joseph, the Raiders fan, Joe, from the Frozen Tundra podcast. And we will also possibly get AK from the Millie Goats. So we're going to be doing some things where we're going to be talking a little bit playoff football, some potential coach landings and everything. Who could be our most disappointing team? Someone already said boo Raiders. With a whole bunch of people that have no idea who that is. So, guys, let's go and get started. Isaac, you want to tee us off?
I'm not surprising anybody here. You know what? Actually, instead of Packers, I'm very excited. We're going to talk a lot of Packers. I'm hoping Frozen Tundra hops on, so we might have to do it early. I think we got to talk this Pete Carroll, Nick Saban, Belichick coaching. I'm going to shock you guys because I mean, like that just the fact that those three are available. I didn't expect Nick Saban to walk away. I expected Belichick to happen, but the Pete Carroll one was kind of a bomb. Did you guys really see that coming?
Joe, you go. Well, Joe's on.
No,
Joe,
I actually didn't. I didn't see the Pete Carroll thing coming. But then again, you could turn around and you could say that the Pete Carroll thing has kind of been coming for a few years now. I mean, in hindsight, it's easy to see that where it could have happened, but definitely in the moment, it took me by surprise. Like, why now? I mean, the timing is interesting.
That's kind of what I thought. I'm like, why this season? They were 9-8. They did they expect? I mean, I think they must have expected more with Geno Smith. That must have been what was going on, I think.
And really and truthfully, I could see where it would come up next year and everything. Last year was kind of a surprise with Geno Smith. I mean, it was kind of, they were already in kind of that rebuild mode where they just traded off Russell Wilson and they got all them picks and they didn't really go for the quarterback just yet. I guess they didn't feel like there was really anyone there that was really worth taking at that spot where they, I believe, had the 6 and 18 or somewhere in there. Anyway, they had 6 and 21, but they decided to go another route. They got them actually probably a defensive rookie of the year in Devin Witherspoon and also Jackson Smith Njigba, receiver, to kind of take the role over whenever Tyler Lockett, retires and everything. But with Pete Carroll, I mean, before that, there was a couple years before what happened last year where they had a losing record. And then, of course, they kind of backslid a little bit right now. He's not fully out of the organization right now. He's more of in a, I guess you would say, consultation role where he will be
advisory or whatever.
Yeah. Advisory. So, I mean, it did kind of shock me. The Saban thing really didn't shock me either. He's 71 years old, 72. And,
how many national championships do you need,
Yeah, he has 7. I mean, he's arguably the greatest.
He's already going down as probably one of the top 3 greatest college coaches of all time. So,
Well, I would say he's actually the greatest, and Alabama has the fortunate boast to say that they probably had the 2 best of all time, Bear Bryant and Nick Saban. And I mean, you can look on my wall. My dad was an Alabama fan. I became an Alabama fan because of it. It shocked me a little bit, but at the same time, you could see it coming because, at 72, like you said, how many national titles you can have, but most Alabama fans, I'll be honest, we can be turds whenever it comes down to how we actually present ourselves, because it got to a point where we felt like about 85% of us felt entitled to be in the playoff game every year. And, they didn't really to sit back and enjoy what was going on.
It's kind of sad, honestly, when the expectations are that high. It's almost like the Patriots, they were expecting to win Super Bowls. I mean, we can get into Belichick in a second, but it's almost like they were expecting to win Super Bowls or get there. every single season. It was a disappointment if they didn't make the AFC Championship game. That's crazy. Nick Saban was in the same boat.
Yeah. And I mean, as far with the Patriots, I don't think anyone really.
And they put up a hell of a fight. They were more of a foe to Michigan this season than Washington was. I still maintain. I know there was probably no way to do it, but I think Georgia would have given Michigan a hell of a game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, if Bama almost beat them and Georgia barely lost to Alabama on their only loss of the season, I think we would have had a hell of a game. Washington wasn't on that level, unfortunately. It wasn't. Luckily it wasn't last year, so that's good because I don't like 65-7 national championship games.
Yeah, and that's honestly probably why the College Football Playoffs Committee decided not to let FSU go in there, and you couldn't really put.
They were like, "Nah, we're doing you a favor."
Yeah, and one of the things that you can say about Nick Saban, even though he did lose the playoff game, he beat arguably the best college football team in the nation for the past 3 years. And, not even arguably, they are the best team. And right now, there's going to be an open road for the SEC because, Daddy's no longer there. So Kirby Smart and UGA can actually assume that role on the throne of college football. And, let's just be honest, Saban owned Kirby. He was 8-1 against him and basically made Atlanta part of Alabama. I mean, he just owned them whenever he went in there. So that's not being Homer. That's just being honest.
Can you guys hear me okay? I'm going to do this instead of the headphones. Am I good?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Cool. I'm blasting it everywhere.
I think honestly you sounded better on the headphones, to be honest.
You did sound better with the headphones.
But I sounded better before, or I sound better now?
You sounded better with the headphones before.
Better before? Okay, I'll go back to it in a second. It was a pain while I'm trying to spread the word really quick. I'll go back to it in a second. I figured that's a better headset by a mile. So I'll go back to it in a second. I can hear you guys better on this, which is funny.
Check your volume on your headphones because I know that I have an Xbox headset too, and sometimes there's like a little volume tab on the side.
That's funny again. I turned that up. No, I'll do it in a second though. You're good.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and pick it up right now. So Joe, with Bill Belichick stepping down and everything, a couple names, of course, with Mike Vrabel, of course, getting fired, which really shocked me as well. Dude was actually doing really well. And Jared Mayo being the two possible successors for Bill Belichick. One, what are you thinking on that, dude?
I'm thinking that I think Gerard Mayo is going to get the job. It's sort of been kind of written on the wall for a long time now that Gerard Mayo is sort of the heir apparent to Bill Belichick. Mm-hmm. And so I expect him to get the job. I think Vrabel would be another good pick, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think Vrabel's going to Seattle. I think it's
I like that.
I think it's a perfect situation for him because Seattle traditionally likes to run the football. Tennessee, they like to run the football. And with the Seahawks, their quarterback situation right now, I think they have Geno under contract for one more year, or maybe 2 more years. But I think that they're gonna try to make a move in the draft, and they're at 17, so I think they're gonna try to jump up. I wouldn't be terribly surprised if they tried to make an offer to Chicago for the number 1 overall. But if they can't get the number 1 overall, then I expect them to at least try to trade up into the top 8 to 10. So that they can get one of the quarterbacks that are available after the first run, because we're probably going to see 3 quarterbacks come off the board, 1, 2, and 3.
Boom, 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 yeah.
And so, unless Marvin Harrison sneaks in, I think that's the only scenario where somebody surprises, maybe a tackle. I don't think so, though. I think you're right. I think it's going to be quarterback.
Yeah.
It's going to be. I think it's going to be quarterback because Washington is. Howell did a good job. But, he also had as many interceptions as touchdowns, and they weren't doing him any favors. But I think that they're going to look to get better at that. They're going to take advantage of their number 2 overall pick and try to get better where they can at quarterback because they already have weapons, and they also need a pass rusher. So I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to roll with Howell. They could always try to trade down and still because this first part of the first round is going to be so quarterback heavy that a lot of elite defensive talent is going to drop into the mid-teens. So, they would do themselves a huge favor, in my opinion, by trying to trade down to 12 or 13 and still get the best pass rusher in the draft and pick up some extra picks.
It's a tough one because I agree with you, except it's so hard when you don't have the right quarterback to make it's as important as other positions are. If you can land that quarterback, it just is so franchise changing more than any other position, even though there's some getting a receiver and getting elite defensive talent and if there's a left tackle or something like that at the top of the draft. It just sucks because I just don't think Howell is that guy for them. But if they're not entirely sold, you're right, they would get a haul. So if it's not this year, it just sucks because I hate when teams do that, but there's only, unless you land a CJ Stroud, it's not worth it, or somebody that's a surefire,
I agree with you about the importance of the quarterback position, but I would make this argument. This past season, Sam Howell was like the most sacked quarterback in the league.
True story.
So if you're going to take that quarterback, he's going into the same situation where you're going to get this guy killed. So I think it just makes sense. They're not ready for their franchise guy yet. I think they need to build up their offensive line. And they need to build up their defensive line. So if you trade down, you get the best. Either you get the best, pass rusher, an elite pass rusher, or you can get probably the best offensive tackle on the board, and you get more picks so that you can try to flesh out that D line and that offensive line later, and then you can make your move for quarterback next year. I think, or here's another thing: the Redskins. I almost called them the Redskins. The Commanders are going to have.
Hey, what's up?
The Commanders are going to have about $80 million in cap space. So if they were willing, they could take a look at some veteran guys, at least as a bridge quarterback for this year, or they could roll with Howell. I thought Howell, for the situation
did really well.
I didn't think he did too bad.
No, he didn't. And I mean, just to reverse a little bit, like how you said, Mike Vrabel probably to Seattle. I actually think that Dan Quinn would actually be a really good landing spot for him there as well, because like you said, Seattle's always been about the run. And whenever I think of Seattle, I think about the defense, and I think that Dan Quinn would be another one. I actually think that if anyone was to, like Mike Vrabel could go to Atlanta. And right now, really and truthfully, you look at Atlanta, they have a good defense. They got a great running tandem in Aguilar and Robinson, Drake London, and they really just are missing a quarterback. And I think if anything, they will probably trade down. There's already been a couple of rumors to where Atlanta has been looking at possibly also moving up to that first round pick and picking up a quarterback of their future. And I mean, Desmond Ridder, he's not a quarterback that's going to lead you from behind. And, that's this. So, I mean, they were built up the same way as the Titans, run first oriented, play great defense. And Mike Vrabel would be perfect. I mean, it'll basically just be picking up a better coach and putting him in where Arthur Smith was.
Yeah. Atlanta could be an interesting spot.
Atlanta's a way more attractive spot to me than Washington because, like you said, Joe, me and Med, I don't know if you saw me and Med's episode from Tuesday. Dude, Washington has got a lot of problems. That's going to be that's going to be the toughest rebuild, even more than New England, because at least New England's got a defense.
Well, and I mean, like Joe was talking about, you got the second pick. You have Sam Howell, who is pretty decent. Ben-Enemy is still there, and even though he's not on their interview request right now, which is kind of surprising, what they could do is they could trade down, and you can get Alt from Notre Dame, probably the best left tackle in the game right now in college level. You also got the guy Usawa that is from Penn State, also left tackle. The three main positions that you want to build on, as far as I remember, would be your quarterback, your left tackle to protect your quarterback, and then your pass rusher. Those are your three main positions that you want to actually fill. And there's an abundance of quarterbacks. There's an abundance where you can actually trade down. If Sam Howell is not your guy, trade down, go into the teens, and possibly get a Bo Nix or even, because of how crappy of a game he had, Michael Penix Jr.
That is a good point. His stock probably dropped in that one game significantly. So
I expect.
I mean,
his
just of all
draft
the
stock will probably drop a little bit,
yeah.
but I think that game.
I still think he's top 10.
I'm actually like I'm actually thinking that it was better. Like, it's better if his draft stock drops for me because I want him for the Raiders. To be honest with you,
I don't blame
so
you.
it's
Dude.
like
that.
it let people think that he's terrible because he played the best defense in the country and his offensive line was terrible that game. Like, to me, you go back and watch the Texas game the week before, and the dimes that he was throwing, like those.
Oh, he was on fire, man.
His medium
really was.
accuracy is not. It's something you can't compare to any of the other 4 quarterbacks that were in that playoff game. I mean, Milroe would be there for another year, of course, but like you said, I mean, Penix he was killing it, and his touch, his power.
That's why I think it was the pressure of Michigan. It reminded me of the. I don't know, Joe, if you like this comparison. It reminded me of that Chiefs Raiders game where Mahomes clearly has accuracy, is when things are going, is the best quarterback in the game. But the line, the defensive line for the Raiders and the blitz was just getting, it wasn't even really the blitz, was just getting Mahomes' face. And it felt like that in the Michigan. I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I was on Frozen Tundra, but what I did see, it looked like the Michigan defensive line was just pushing them back, and they weren't even hitting him that much. They didn't get a lot of sacks, but it got in his face, and I feel like that affected him significantly.
Yeah, but I don't think, even then, I don't think that, like, a lot of his passes were not, they're not like great passes, but I don't think they were so far off target, like that they were. Raiders are in purgatory. Dude, that's got to be Nick.
Oh, dude, there's so many. Here,
oh, can I do this too? I don't know if it's letting me do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, cool. We got Chris. We got Kelsey watching. We got a few people watching. We got
I don't
David Tate.
I don't blame Penix Jr. for that loss as much as I blame the offensive line, to be honest with you.
I agree with you on that. Because
I think Penix is still an elite talent, and I think he has the best arm talent in the draft, hands down. He throws absolute missiles, dude. And I really hope the Raiders can get him. And I'm kind of hoping his draft stock takes a little tumble down into the mid-teens so that we can pick him up.
And, like you just said, I mean, one game doesn't really define a whole season. I mean, a lot of people look at that, and yes, he did play the best defense in the nation. And I mean, that the whole game, I mean, he just didn't have a good game. And, he was overthrowing his receivers. And the one time they finally, hit the big play when the game was still close, when it was 13-20, he, offensive guard Rosengarten was caught for holding, and it offset the penalty, and they had to call it back. And then the very next play, they got a PI that would have put the ball at the 5, and once again he got busted for holding, and it was like, oh my God, and everything just fell in the way of Michigan as far as that goes. But as far as like Michael Penix, I mean, you look at all the quarterbacks. You got Bo Nix, you got Jaden Daniels, you got Caleb Williams, you got. And I'm a little gun shy about UNC quarterbacks because the last 2, I mean, my Bears drafted Trubinsky. And then you look at what's, Sam Howell, not necessarily his fault because that offensive line was just garbage and their defensive line is garbage. I mean, if you were Washington, what would you do? Would you trade down and start to rebuild the defense that was ranked 32nd?
If I was Washington, they got to get a head coach first. And that'll
they got
give you
so much to rebuild.
That'll give you a real idea of what they're going to do going forward, like if they hire a defensive coach or an offensive coach. But I think just from an outside perspective, they're not ready for a franchise quarterback yet. Like, they have some weapons.
I like that point, Joe.
They're not ready. Like, I think to draft a quarterback this year would do that quarterback a huge disservice. Because he's going to get sacked 65 times this year and possibly get hurt. I think the best strategy for them would be to try to trade down, take advantage of because the Bears pick they're talking about could net 3 first-round picks and change. So that second pick could probably net you 3 firsts, or at least 2 firsts and other significant picks. So I think that it would be foolish to not take that package, trade down 7, 8, 10 spots, and get the best defensive player or the best pass rusher or the best offensive tackle that you can, and then get a couple extra seconds and thirds and plus firsts next year, and then that gives you the ammunition that you need, so that next year when it's time to make a move for quarterback, now you have 2 first-round picks to trade, so you're not mortgaging 3 years of your future. At the very least, you're sitting on 2 first-round picks for next year, plus additional picks. You might even be able to just swing the whole trade in that one draft and not handicap your team, going forward.
And I like that because I think New England's a lot closer. Like, to me, New England just needs a quarterback and a couple of a receiver or two with that D, and if they can get Stevenson back, and I think that they could be a playoff contender. Washington, to me, is I don't even know how many players short, man. Like, there's not a lot of building blocks on that team.
At least 2 offensive tackles and 2 defensive ends.
I like the running back. McLaurin's okay. Dotson might be decent. They could probably use another receiver, possibly a tight end on offense alone.
I think McLaurin is better than okay.
Huh?
I think McLaurin is better than okay. He's good.
Yeah.
And Dotson is good too.
They could probably still use another legit receiver, but it's hard to tell.
I think you also got to look at who's throwing to him. And again, it comes down to Howell. And again, this is not an indictment of Howell. It's an indictment of their offensive line. I think that the offensive line of Washington didn't do any favors for Howell or for the team. So if you can even, I think even going forward, if nothing else, if Washington could get a really solid left tackle this year, I think it would do wonders for their team next year. Like, they would win a few more games just off of improving their protection somewhat.
Yeah. And it sucks because I agree with you. Like, if they were to land that quarterback, if you had a GM that's trustworthy, like that would set their franchise forward. But I just don't. They have so many holes. Like, even if they were able to fill their holes on offense this offseason, they're still going to have one of the worst defenses in the league. Like, that's best case scenario for them. I don't think they're going to be able to do that with free agency. So I'm with you. Which direction do you think New England goes with the coach and the quarterback?
I think whoever they pick as head coach, it doesn't matter. They're taking a quarterback because Mac Jones is just, like, there's not it, and then there's Mac Jones. Like,
then there's Bailey Zappi.
And then below Mac Jones is Bailey Zappi. Like,
I somewhere down Mac in Jones the depths. Could have been decent. Don't you think if he had the right system, we might actually see a decent guy? Now he's broken, I think, but I think that there was a potential for that after his rookie year. But
I think that it was.
I'll go after Joe.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts.
I think that with Mac Jones, people thought that there was something there, or they thought that there could be something there. They thought he could be a good system quarterback, but
we got to throw his comment up.
That's
John's clowning you. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt, but that's hilarious.
Because actually, our defensive coordinator is Pat Graham, and I don't know if you were watching, but the Raiders have the #1 defense in points against for the last 9 weeks of the season. Like, the Raiders defense was on fire. So I'm actually excited about the direction they're going.
Max Crosby honestly should be in the Defensive Player of the Year discussion, like near the top of it for me.
I think he should win it myself.
I don't think Parsons should be winning it at all. I don't even think Parsons
I think they're going to give it to Myles Garrett probably. But Mac Jones,
I'm okay
Mac
with Garrett
Jones is not it. And I think the Patriots are going to go quarterback, and then in the second round they're probably going to go receiver. And
they might need to sign a receiver too. Could you see?
For them.
I could see T. Higgins maybe wanting to go there if they likes the quarterback. Well, he won't know the quarterback because it's
Hollywood Brown is a free agent. I could see
that'd be one.
That would be a good one to try to get yourself a deep threat for your new quarterback.
Speaking of Hollywood Brown, what are the Cardinals doing? They get rid of Hopkins and now they're about to let Brown go. They're not doing Kyler Murray any favors.
Because they think they're going to get Marvin Harrison.
Yes, they do. Well, they do.
And as far as I go, I want to comment a little bit on the Mac Jones got a bad rep. In some ways, he did. I mean, Bill Belichick didn't do him any
I love
favors by
John.
not drafting anybody. I mean, he's always drafted either offensive lineman, receiver. I mean, this past draft, they drafted a defense, offensive lines, punter, and a kicker, and then a wide receiver in the 6th round. So he's not doing many favors. And then
That's
when
the
you look
priority.
at what they got, yeah, I know, a priority. I mean, what? Whenever you look at their best receiving option this past season, they had Hunter Henry, who was their tight end, and he's going to be looked at as a free agent. He's already a free
And
agent.
I
after
heard
this
Bill
season.
Simmons saying he thought the Patriots had talent at receiver early in the season, and
They didn't have time.
I love Pete. I'm gonna go on his show next week from Foxborough Fellas, and then
Right.
I gotta let Joe go. But he was saying they have talent at receiver. I'm like, what talent?
You
The
have
one
Juju
receiving
Smith.
option I like is Hunter Henry, but
Yeah, and that's
Juju's
it.
man, he's been hurt, and he's not a number one, not even close.
It's
He could
Well,
be a 2 in the right system, maybe.
See, also, look, the writing has been on the wall for Mac Jones for a while.
yeah.
Earlier
I
this
think
season,
they're going to go quarterback too.
earlier this
I
season,
love John. He's funny.
the Raiders played the Patriots, right? And
Mhm.
the Patriots lost the game, and they asked. There was a chance where they could have tried a deep ball, a Hail Mary with Mac Jones, and they asked Bill Belichick in the postgame. They said, "Why didn't you try the Hail Mary?" And he straight up said, Mac doesn't have the arm for that." So right then, I knew that the game, the writing was on the wall
Yeah.
for Mac Jones. He doesn't have NFL arm talent. Like, if we're being honest, Mac Jones's selling point was always that he was smart, that he was a good processor of information, but
Mhm.
he was never looked at as a particularly athletic quarterback. His arm strength was even questioned even before he got drafted. I mean, there were other
True
guys who
story.
were, he was never looked at as having a cannon. But I wanted to go back to what Schatz said about Drake May, that he's worried about UNC quarterbacks. Certainly there's the precedents, right? But I think
I
Drake
knew
May,
you were gonna come back to that. I was like, he's gonna come back.
because I can't just let it slide, man. I
No,
really,
you're good,
really,
man. This is our first episode of. We're gonna
Yeah.
try to make
This is
this
why we
show
have a
"Blitzing
it's
the
not
Blind
even-
Side" is the name.
It's not even.
We gotta
like
hear
I
your
said,
thoughts on that too.
I
Sorry, go
don't
ahead.
disagree. I don't disagree with Schatz's take. Like, there's definitely a cause for concern, but I just
Mhm.
think that Drake May is so much, like, far and away better than Mitch Trubisky is,
No,
or
he
was,
is.
and better than Howell. Like, Drake May is. I have a feeling that he's going to be a really, really good quarterback in the NFL. Like, I see certain things from him that are intangibles that,
I feel
he
so
has
bad. I
elite
gotta.
traits.
This weekend, I'm gonna start doing some my draft research. I haven't done enough, so I feel bad. I've seen a little bit, but I'll be doing some heavy
Well,
research on this.
watch Drake May's film. He's deceptively mobile. Like,
Can I ask who's your number one quarterback
To me,
on the
Well,
top of
Jayden
your board?
Daniels.
If you're making your big board,
on my board, if I was
Mine is
making my
Jayden
board,
Daniels.
I would probably take Jaden Daniels.
okay, that's kind of
but-
what I thought y'all would say.
But I gotta say, like,
I'm giving you a
I'm-
thumbs up.
I'm so enamored with Michael Penix's
Y'all think
arm
very alike.
talent.
Oh no,
I'm
that
so
arm talent, dude.
so enamored with Michael Penix's arm talent, but I just can't bring myself to, like, pick him number one if Jaden Daniels is there. If I'm being
Yeah, I
honest,
told you.
Jaden Daniels
it's
just
fair.
offers too much, in the range of mobility and everything like that. He offers so much extra, whereas Penix, you're drafting for that arm talent.
I agree, Chris. I'm gonna give Chris a quick shout out. I agree with the Belichick and Pete Carroll. They both had hell of runs.
Yeah, they did.
I'm with. We'll get to that later. I agree with the Pete Carroll thing. I'm gonna check
Just
out
real
Jane
quick
Daniels
for
because
the
I've been
Drake
hearing
May
so
thing.
much about Jane Daniels, so I'm gonna check him out.
Yeah, the one other thing I have to say about Drake May is that, Joe is right. Check out his stats and everything. Check out all of his highlights and all that. Then watch the very first week when he played against South Carolina where he didn't throw for a touchdown but threw for 2 interceptions. And when you're talking about South Carolina, this was a defense that ranked dead last in sacks this year. And he struggled with them. Now, granted, because where I live, Southeast and everything, college football is king. So a lot of my friends are Gamecock fans and everything like that. And, you know, they're sitting there and they're like, oh, yeah, this is going to be our year. Spencer Rattler. Ooh. And Drake May did all right, but it wasn't something that would really sit. I mean, they went they started off, I think, like 7-0, 8-0, and then they lost like the last 3 or 4 games. And, you know, he had kind of a rough season for his last year. I think he will be a good quarterback. He's definitely better than Mitchell Trubisky. I think Mason Rudolph is better than Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, Mason Rudolph is better than Mitchell Trubisky.
But
at least right now,
I will say Drake May is the best of the 3. It's like they slowly are progressing, like evolution, I guess, where you go from a fish to a human.
Also, you know, to add to that point, Drake May is playing, I believe, and this is my personal opinion, he's playing with a much less talented team overall than Mitchell Trubisky had. So he was, you know, Drake May has been forced to do a lot of carrying. And the first 4 games of the season, you're right, they went like 7-0 in the first 7 games, but the first 4 games were rough for Drake May. And then all of a sudden he came on and he really started balling. And then even in the games that they lost, he was still balling. It's just they couldn't overcome certain things. Either, you know, there was points or, you know, their defense would give up. You know, there was other things involved. It wasn't just Drake May throwing away a game. So
definitely.
I got a question for y'all. We're gonna stay on this college football thing. I'm not gonna pivot.
What's your top? A different season for him. Like, I agree with you. I was kind of disappointed in the season that he had for a final season. But I think if you look at his body of work overall, and I agree
with you.
You know, I think he's going to be.
He would be the third
really good quarterback.
Yeah, he would be the 3rd or possibly the 4th. I mean,
that's what I was going to ask.
Is actually
after Daniels. I feel like y'all differ. Who would be your number 2 through 5 quarterbacks?
Penix would be my number 2.
Okay.
See, again, I'm very, very enamored with Michael Penix's arm talent. I think it's like it's almost like you're at the car lot and you see like this shiny new like Corvette, you know, and you're like, oh, that's nice, you know.
That's a nice one, right there.
That's sick.
But you're there for an economy car. You're there for a commuter, you know, and you're like, I'd love to have this Corvette. It's a luxury, but I need to get something that's going to run for 300,000.
You're like, I got the money. I can afford this. Why don't I get that car?
It's like, you know, it's the kind of car that you buy if you want to show off. It's not the kind that you're going to drive to work every day. And, you know, I don't know. So for me, I think Drake May offers more overall.
That's what I wrote down for you. That was what I wrote down. I'm writing down your top 5s, and then I'm going to make my list, and we're gonna hit this in another episode. Okay, so who'd be 3?
You first, Joe.
Penix for me.
Okay.
Joe, sorry, Bet.
Oh, I'm going Caleb Williams because I just don't like his mental, like when you hop into the stands to cry in your mom's arm after a tough loss. That's telling me that you're not mentally tough for a tough matchup.
I agree heavily.
That doesn't bother me so much. What bothers me about Williams's game is that he plays hero ball too much, and
that's true.
It's gonna get him sacked a lot, and it's gonna result in a lot of
quarterbacks this year. Is holding the ball too long.
It's gonna end up costing him a lot of ugly interceptions trying to play hero ball, because in the NFL, you know, all the talent in the world, all the physical talent is great, but the NFL is a processing game. It's a speed game where you have to be able to make split-second decisions, and you're not going to get, unless you're Patrick Mahomes, you're not going to get the luxury of running around for 7 seconds to find somebody open. And so I think if he's forced,
that's what's impressed me about CJ Stroud.
One read and throw, I think he's going to struggle with that.
That's what's impressed me with CJ Stroud is sometimes he does hold the ball, but he still has the arm talent to make up for it. Even Jordan Love had stretches this season where he did that. But Stroud has the accuracy and just enough mobility to make up for it. And there's other quarterbacks that just cannot make those decisions. I think that's what's burned Justin Fields, especially against elite defenses, is he can't process the game. And that's, I think, what the biggest indictment on him, even though we saw improvement from like level 0, he's gone up a level, maybe level and a half, but he still isn't even there yet.
But I also think that Justin Fields wasn't done any favors He had no good
No.
quarterback in front of him where he could sit for a year and try to learn how to process.
God, that's so important, isn't it?
There's no quarterbacks coach. Well, it's important.
Look what the Packers have done. They let their guys sit for 3 years behind Hall of Famer
quarterbacks, Isaac. Like not every quarterback. C.J. Stroud didn't need that, right?
Nope.
C.J. Stroud came in, he hit the ground running. But there are certain quarterbacks like Justin Fields where the physical talent is there. But if you know that this guy struggles with processing and you're going to throw him in the fire anyway, without having that, he's going to fail. Like, I think, the best thing that could have been done with Fields is finding somebody, a good quarterbacks coach, or having an already established, even bringing in a veteran guy for him to sit behind for a year and learn, I think would have done him, much greater. It would have helped much more with his development. Throwing
absolutely.
him immediately and I don't think he's washed. I think he'll go somewhere else, and I actually hope for his sake that he goes to a team that has an established veteran quarterback that he can learn from, or a quarterback's coach that can help him develop.
Yeah, and as far as that goes and everything like that, one of the things I've always said about Justin Fields is when you draft a scrambling quarterback who scrambled around like he did in Ohio State, you cannot make him a pocket passer. This is the second time that the Bears have done this. They did that with Mitchell Trubisky, who never threw over 30 times a game, and then they did it with Justin Fields. To get back on the list, me personally, just a quick question: does Caleb Williams kind of remind you of Kyler Murray in a lot of ways?
Interesting point.
I've
seen a little bit of that, a little bit.
Small.
Only the scrambling, like the scrambling where he runs around and then he'll come back this way, he'll go back that way. Like he runs around like a chicken with his head cut off, like Kyler Murray does. Like it's like that's why I don't trust Caleb Williams, is because he plays panic ball, and for me it's like it pays off. It's gambling at the highest level. Like sometimes it pays off for him, but as in the Notre Dame game, like sometimes he throws 3 picks in a game and they get slaughtered. So, and if you look at how USC finished the year, like the last 6 games, they just looked terrible. And granted, they had the worst defense in the world, not just college football, but the world. But still, like
he was turning it over left and right.
Oh yeah, man.
But
and it's not like, and that's my thing, is that like USC should have still been able to win some of those games, even with the terrible defense, because it's not like they were devoid of receiver talent. Like USC had good receivers.
Yeah, no, they're straight. And what's crazy about also Caleb Williams is that there's a lot of talk of him also being like a combo deal with Lincoln Riley. And that's one of those deals like when Aaron Rodgers was being traded to the New York Jets, and he came out with us saying, hey, these are the guys that I want you to bring along with me. Me personally, if I hear that, even from a college kid or anything like that, I don't care about his talent level. That's telling me already you're going to be more of a headache than what I would actually want for my team.
Yeah, like already you're coming in here and you think you run the team. You haven't even taken a snap. Like,
yeah.
Like, and then on top of that, Caleb Williams also came out and said that there's only like 4 or 5 teams that he wants to play for. Like,
like who are you?
I mean, it's such a lack of humility that it's like, we get it. Like, a year ago at this time, everybody was like drooling all over this guy and saying he was the greatest quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck and this and that. But like, times have changed. Like, you just had a kind of a terrible season for what was expected of you. You were expected to like win the Heisman. You were expected to do all these things. You did none of those things. And you're going to sit here and tell us which teams you want to play for? Like, have some humility, buddy. Like, it's an honor to be drafted number 1 overall, no matter what team you go to. Like, it's an honor to be drafted number 1 overall.
Exactly.
That's that team saying that they think that that team is saying that they value your talent so much that they're willing to mortgage their future for it. Like that you don't get any more of an endorsement than that,
All right. And the fact that he also had to sit there and say, I want a percentage of the team as well. I was like, man, help you. I mean, I was like,
okay, so did you have Williams number 3 then?
Me? No.
Yeah.
I had Penix number 3.
You had Penix number 3. You had Williams
we're going
4. I'm betting.
I don't know. I would have
mixed,
to.
Though.
Yeah, I would probably put Williams 4 just based off of his talent because he's more talented than Bo Nix. But I think Bo Nix's processing is better. It's just he doesn't have the talent that Williams has.
Matt, who did you have?
If you want me to be honest, Williams is he strikes me as the kind of guy, and I'm saying this completely just based off of what I've seen of him. I don't know the guy personally. I don't know about his work ethic, but Williams seems to me like quarterbacks that I've seen in the past that think they can get to the NFL and skate by on talent alone.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that feels like Kyler Murray vibes to me. We had this conversation on Tuesday. When you have to put a clause in to not play Call of Duty, and I've watched a lot of Kyler Murray. I lived in Arizona, but I've seen enough of him. And personally, he's been a Pro Bowl level talent. I don't see this guy as. I don't see him as ever being a consistent even top 10. I mean, even this year, I don't think even in the second half of the season he was top 10. Now they had some feisty games; they were there, but I mean, if he gets Marvin Harrison, that's going to help. But I don't know. I just don't see it personally.
Honestly, I think he's on based on talent alone, he could be a perennial top 10 just based on talent. Because at the NFL level, everybody's talented, so it's just a matter of who's more talented.
Yeah,
but if you're good, you're good, man. Like there's just only so much you can scheme against talent. Talent wins.
He feels like a guy.
He doesn't look to me like he's a student of the game. Is my thing.
And I think as his athleticism wanes and he's coming off that ACL, I don't know. Like it's not like the Cardinals have done him a ton of favors, but let me put it this way. This might be a homer pick. I think Jordan Love has more upside. He, to me, has been elevating the receivers around him. Now, he got 3 years to sit, but had the youngest receiving core in the league, but it's got a good quarterback coach and a pretty solid head coach. But to me, Jordan Love, what I saw him do, and I need to see another season, so it's hard. But what I saw him do was take his lumps, start to excel, and it looks to me like he is a student of the game and cares.
Yeah,
and that there's other guys to me that ride off talent, and then there are these freaks that are in the film room like Tom Brady that just have this drive to continue to get better. Mahomes to me actually is a really curious case because he is extremely competitive. He's kind of both actually. He's kind of in the middle. It's kind of ironic.
And whenever I talk to, I coach football and everything like that, whenever I talk to my players and everything, one of the things I actually tell them is, hey, if you really want to really be really good at this game and everything, talent will only get you so far. You got to work on your technique. You got to learn, take moves from people from the past. If you're a defensive end, you look at players like Bruce Smith. You look at players like Deacon Jones. You look at some of the old school players, use some of their moves, their rips, their head slaps, whatever you need to do, and you learn from them. Take that part of their game that you want to adapt into yours, and then you can actually accelerate your growth. Kyler Murray doesn't really elevate anybody in my eyes. Other players elevate.
That's kind of how I felt. Like I just don't. I'm not saying he's a scrub. Don't get me wrong. He's not a scrub. There are scrubs.
The worst player in the NFL.
No, I mean there are quarterbacks I don't think that belong to. Yeah, there's quarterbacks that don't belong as a starter. Like if we in the offseason, I think we should do like a quarterback ranking. I think it'd be hella fun. It was really hard this year. If I was the GM of a franchise, if I hadn't tied my money to him, if I was coming in, I'd probably think about moving on from Kyler Murray because I don't know personally if he's going to be someone I'd want to build my franchise around. It's tough to find these guys. CJ Stroud is really tough to find, and I think might take some lumps next year. But NFL Outdated joined. I was super excited. I'm happy to the comment up.
Thanks for joining us,
thanks for joining, guys. We're going to do our playoff picks in a minute. We've been on a fun quarterback talk here.
I'm throwing you a bone here.
I just don't know if Kyler Murray, hey, I don't know who that is, but thanks for joining. Don't say that to Cardinals fans. What did you say? Go back to that one. Don't say that to Cardinals fans. They'll jump all over you. I mean, it sucks for them because they haven't had a lot at quarterback. So when you're in that position, Joe, Med, tell me what you think on this. I mean, like, it's hard to not want to build around that kind of guy. I'm coming from a spoiled Packers fan, Joe and Med, so it sucks. But
I think with Kyler Murray, the talent is there. It's just, does he
I
have
worry
the
about
drive?
him. When
Does
they
he have
put
the
that
drive?
clause in, that's a serious concern, man. I just don't. That scares
Yeah.
me.
But I mean, Kyler Murray is not stupid. Like
No.
if they put that clause in the contract, you can rest assured he probably threw away his Call of Duty game and is like, okay, it's time to get down to business.
You'd hope so.
But-
if he's not like
but
DeAndre
the
Ayton, another
The issue is that
player
for them
over
to
there.
have to put that clause in there, that means what you're talking about is habits. You're talking about
Yes.
things that have been developed over the course of a lifetime.
Mhm.
That drive, it's either in you or it's not. And so for me, like, we were originally talking about Caleb Williams, and he was the one that I was talking about, that I don't see him as being a student of the game. I don't see him as being the kind of guy that's going to be in the film room at 5 a.m. and the last guy to leave the building. I think he's that guy that shows up at 9 o'clock and does his lift, goes and watches a couple hours of film, and then he's the first guy out. Like,
and that's not a guy I'd want to build around. I'm sorry, like that. Unless he changes those habits, that's the hardest thing. If you don't,
well, I
mean,
can't even say that those are his habits because, like I said, I don't know. I
That's
don't
true.
train with the guy.
That's speculation.
This is just the impression that I get from him.
Good point.
The sense of entitlement that I see, like, I only want to play for these teams. The sense of I want a piece of ownership in the team that I go to. Like those kind of things. That sense of entitlement. Generally, entitled people are not hard workers. Just being honest. Those two things kind of don't go together. So that's why I have that impression.
Spot on. Let's finish these top fives, and then I'm out of Caleb because maturity also. NFL Dated's with you. And oh my gosh, we got AK. What's up, man? We're on college football still. We're gonna talk at a few more, and then we're gonna get into playoffs, which doesn't feature your team because you guys earned the number one seed. Congratulations.
Thank you. We did it.
As if there was any doubt.
I mean, if you guys don't go to the Super Bowl, that'd be the biggest shocker.
I've been saying that the Niners have been on a mission all season long, dude. It just seems like they won't be denied this year. And
they're going to Super Bowl for sure.
They're my pick in my
Purdy's arm is going to have to fall off again, and that better not happen. That would suck last year.
People forget that too, that he had a surgery like 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And they
thanks for joining, man.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Thanks,
hey, actually, I'm gonna bring you in on this debate, man. We're talking. So I'm just gonna openly admit it. I haven't done my scouting yet. I'm about to. I'm waiting for the playoff stand, and then I'm gonna dive in. We're making our top. We're gonna finish our top 5 quarterbacks college, and then we'll move into NFL stuff.
In the draft.
So, can you guys recap your top 5s really quick?
So we're going for, like, what's your big board? Like, if you're the one making the picks for top 5 quarterbacks, like, we're asking you to rank the top 5 quarterbacks according to your big board.
Ooh, you should throw up NFL Dated's comment, Med, on Fields.
So I think Med and I both had Daniels at number 1.
Jaden Daniels number 1.
Okay.
I like this comment on Fields really quick. That is the one thing I'm going to say about Fields. And that's why I'm not totally done on him yet either.
What was your top 5? What did you get consensus?
Well, I got to my top 3.
Yeah, we weren't finished yet. We were in the middle of it.
We went on to like a Kyler Murray rant for a little bit.
Yeah, we had a fun Kyler Murray discussion. So they both had Daniels number 1, and then they differed.
You have to. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe had Joe, who did you have 2?
I had Drake.
You had May, right?
Number 2.
And then Med, you had Penix, right?
I had Penix.
And then Med, who did you have 3? Did you have Williams then, or did you have May?
I did put Williams there.
That's what I thought. And then Joe had Penix.
Really I had Penix at number 3.
Yeah.
And then we were stuck. I think Joe was saying Williams at 4, and I didn't get Med's number 4.
So, AK, if you want to catch up real quick, by all means, we'll throw you in here as well.
I like Michael Penix. I just like because he's got a little Kellen Moore, if you remember, highly accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Throws it all over the yard. I think Kellen Moore was lefty, but Michael Penix throws a better deep ball than Kellen Moore, so I'm not sure if that's going to be a good comp. But I think Michael Penix deep ball accuracy will attract a lot of different teams who want to stretch the field. I'm not sold on Caleb Williams. I don't like. I think it's too much fluff, too much. Hey, look at me! I want ownership in the team. Blah 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 blah. Like already trying to run the building.
Up on that too.
We just dude. It's like you were listening to the show.
Right.
Like this is what we were just talking about.
This is hilarious. You're really like joining and like it's like you were here with us.
You're already in the tires, man.
He reminds me of Johnny Manziel.
Ooh,
that's who he reminds me of.
That's a good comparison.
I don't.
That's a good comparison.
I think he got too into the let's run around and see what kind of throw I make and not taking the simple throw. You know, and I'm a push back on all these. We got to have mobility at the quarterback position. Blah 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 blah. Quarterback positions changing. No, it's not. Joe Flacco's come in off the couch and thrown for 15 touchdowns in 5 games, and has the Browns one of the hottest teams in the AFC. So I just give me a guy who wants to, and I think CJ Stroud. That's why he's doing so well. So
he's just got some ridiculous arm talent. That throw in that Indy game when he was backpedaling, when he just chucked it in Nico Collins' direction and landed it, that was stupid. And there's not a lot of guys that can even make that play. And he's a rookie doing that. It's just he does have a tendency to hold the ball a little long, but he's a rookie.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying
Penix's
arm talent is ridiculous too.
So you got Penix. All right, AK, who's your 2?
It just looks ugly, man. I like Penix. I would probably go Drake May 2. Then I would go Jaden Daniels. Then I would go Caleb Williams. I'm not, I don't believe in JJ McCarthy. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot from it.
Yeah, I would put Bo Nix.
I agree. I'm not. I mean, I want to, man, because I'm a Michigan guy. I'm from Michigan. If y'all didn't know that, I want to. I just don't see it.
No, I put Bo Nix at 5.
I put Bo Nix at 5 too, because JJ McCarthy, when you watch that game in the national title game, he moved the ball, but it really and truthfully it was the running game that actually ran it for him, and he went 10 for 18 for 140 yards. I mean, I think he needs to stay one more year.
Well, one thing I will say about McCarthy though is his scrambling speed surprised me in that game. Like he's fast. He's pretty fast for a quarterback.
He can move.
He can move. So that's that. I think that will be intriguing to a team. Maybe someone will take him on sort of like a Taysom Hill kind of situation where you can bring him in for designed runs and let him throw the ball a little bit.
I just gotta say on Taysom Hill,
the defense doesn't figure it out right away.
I wish the Saints knew how to use him. He screwed me in fantasy. Me and AK had this talk. I just wish they used him all about. That hurts. He scored me 0.2 in my fantasy divisional round, and I lost because I meant to take him out, but that actually was why I lost because they can't figure out how to use him. They're so schizophrenic with that. Hey, I missed Med. Who's your 4?
My 4th would be Drake May. It would be Drake.
That's
May.
what I figured. And then. Yeah, AK, who's your 5?
Yeah.
And then Bo Nix, that's what I wrote.
My 5th would be the Michael Pratt from Tulane.
Ooh.
I think he's got a little bit of the old Brock Purdy.
I'm gonna check all these quarterbacks out, so this is good stuff.
Remember,
he's getting ready for that mock draft we talked about.
Tulane.
Yeah, we're gonna have to negotiate.
Nonsense before he took over, similar to what Iowa State was before Brock Purdy took over. I can't remember if he's been playing there for 3 or 4 years, but he's been the starter for a while, and they've been a relevant top 25 team for the past 3 years.
If you guys want to keep talking college, because I know A can do it all day, let's do it for a few more minutes, and then we'll hit the playoff picks. Because I've been dying to talk Packers. If you can't tell, I'm ready.
You should be, man. Yeah, I'd go Penix.
The fact they made the playoffs is I'm just so excited that we got here. I can't believe it.
It's phenomenal.
Youngest team in the NFL. That's an accomplishment itself. Jordan Love is the fact that he's elevating the receivers around him. That's awesome because they're all first and second year dudes, and they're really developing some serious chemistry, and I love it. Seriously.
And I actually give them a real shot against the Cowboys too.
I do too. I don't see their defense as it. Chris agrees from Crispy on the media.
I think if there's gonna be I think they're on my list of if there's going to be an upset in the first round. I think that they're the top team to do it.
Yeah,
To be
man.
honest with you.
Hey,
Well-
you're not even on Frozen Tundra saying this, Joe. I love it. This is
Well, yeah, I'm not a Packer
you know
fan,
it's
but I
genuine
just,
then.
Oh, the
well, I
jersey's
just
in
think
his closet.
the Cowboys are cursed, man. You know as well as I do. Like they can go 13-4, and then the first round of the playoffs, for whatever reason, they just get the choke bug. So I think the Packers can take advantage of that if your defense shows up. But the
That's
Cowboys
the key.
the Cowboys got a lot of horses, man. They got a lot of
Well,
they got a
here's the
lot of good
problem.
players.
If you guys are ready to do this, if you're cool with moving on from college, here's the thing. We'll hit the Packers now for Frozen Tundra. I should send them a shout out now. They already dipped. Here's the thing. The Cowboys haven't actually done that well on offense outside of that Washington game recently. They did the same crap last year where they slid on offense and they barely scored over 20 in Detroit. They didn't score that much against Miami. It wasn't just the scoring though. They can't run the ball consistently. Pollard's okay.
Mhm.
They ran it down Washington's throat. That's fine. But they haven't been able to run the ball consistently. And a lot of times their CD Lamb or bust. Brandon Cooks can get his sometimes, but in that Detroit game, man, CD Lamb had almost 200. He had with his rushing, he had 240 yards, and they had 350 yards as a team. Lamb was over 2/3 of their offense. To me, and the dude's special. They're kind of a one-trick pony. It's just such a great trick. That's kind of my thought.
He
And that's
leads
becoming
the,
I could just take my Packers hat off. I just think that's
You got to
just think
stop
that's where
that
we're at.
trick. That's the problem. Is you got to stop.
Mhm.
You got to stop CD
It's a
Lamb.
tough trick.
He's.
I would just
CD
either
Lamb's
commit to
really
doubling him or shutting everybody else down. I think if you single him, he's just gonna destroy you.
good.
Is where
You'll
I'm
see
at
that
with
in
it.
the playoffs. You'll see it in the playoffs. People will figure it out in the playoffs. They're not going to
Mhm.
show their best stuff during the regular season. CD Lamb leads the league in yards after catch.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, which is
So
just
that begs
the dude is ascended so heavily. To me, I think he's right there behind Tyreek Hill and AJ Brown. I mean, he's right in that conversation for top receiver in the league at
Well,
this
he's in the
point,
top 5.
especially with the chemistry with Dak.
Yeah, I just have to throw out that is Dak a system quarterback since his receivers lead the league in yak. So
Well,
'cause that's
I've been thinking that for years. If Dak really wants a shot at a Super Bowl, AK, don't you think he shouldn't go for 60 mil, man? He's not a 60.
I think Dak's
He's not
the
even a
reason
40
they
mil
lose.
quarterback.
I think Dak's the reason they lose. To be honest with you, in the playoffs,
I think it's Jerry,
Let's
but then
go.
it's Jerry Jones's crap filtering down through that organization.
no, man.
Or he won't hire.
I think Dak is a good quarterback, not great, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Watch his accuracy. I've watched him for years because I live near Dallas. And here's where you need to catch the ball. Here's the catch radius. And with Dak, this year he's gotten a little better. I think he actually worked on it for the first time. He'll be throwing the ball in a spread. It's
Like Dak does,
the
Dak
accuracy
does
is not there.
everything good, but to me, this is just me. Dak does everything good, but nothing elite. And
Yep.
in order to carry a team, you have to have elite traits, and I just don't see any elite traits in Dak. He doesn't have elite arm strength that he can he can throw 70 yards down the field. He doesn't have elite processing. He doesn't have elite mobility. He has all of those things. He's mobile enough that he can get first downs. He's accurate enough that he can
back it up, bench.
run a system.
That's a great show. You guys should check that out. I don't know if you've seen them. They're awesome.
He's got
They're
elite
great.
cadence. He's got an elite cadence. Very unique.
Here we go.
I mean, if he's elite at one thing, it actually might be being a.
He said elite cadence.
That's great.
I like the way he tells the center to snap the ball.
Yes. Top of the look, dude. If you're power ranking cadences, Dak is. I mean, he's right there at the top.
Yeah, he's a great teammate.
Cadence
Maybe we can give him
Super
that.
Bowls, though, right? Dak would be a 5-time champion already.
Hey, so me and Ben from Death Taxes and Sports are doing a Just Med. I think you'll like this, and AK and Joe. It's a 30-minute Just Packer Cowboy show, and we were talking on Twitter the last few weeks, and I'm starting to kind of feel differently. He was saying Micah Parsons is their best player by far. I'm actually starting to think it's CeeDee Lamb on that whole roster. What do you guys think of that?
I don't know, man. Micah Parsons is pretty good.
The best player on the roster
he's one-dimensional, though.
Brandon Aubrey. You kidding me? He's the best player on the roster.
Until last week.
I like Micah Parsons, man. But Micah Parsons,
you run at him. He's not great in run contain, and he kind of tails off every year in his
production. He's giving you 13 and a half, 14 sacks a season, though, man.
He's got speed. He's got speed.
He's giving you 13, 14 sacks a season. And like,
but what's crazy is he has like 10 by like week. He's like 10 by like week 11, and then he has like 3 sacks. I could pull it up. He's done this last couple of years. He has like 2.5 to 4 sacks over the last 8 games of the year. He really tails off.
But somebody else has got to
teams double him. I get that.
Well, it's because
somebody else has got to make plays too.
DeMarcus Lawrence is that guy for that line.
He was that guy. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, he's still producing somewhat, but to me, like, I don't think I don't know. How old is DeMarcus Lawrence now?
Like 30-ish, but he did wreck in that game. Which one was
He's older than 30, isn't he? I could have sworn he's older than 30.
Maybe 31. Pull it up.
I think he's older than that. Even.
When he plays
okay, so my other key that the Packers have done recently, they've been able to. Sorry, I'm gonna kind of other games. I'll dip a little. This is my one. 14 sacks, 64 tackles for Parson. Back it up, binge with the stats. They just threw that in the comments.
He gets you 13.
That is an awesome show,
man. Like,
DeMarcus Lawrence is 31, by the way.
Yeah, he's a Dolphins fan too. So fins up.
Yeah, he's gonna have a fun day this weekend. I don't want to talk bad about his team. We'll get into that pick in a minute.
Yeah.
I think the Packers' biggest key actually is going to be if they can keep this Aaron Jones train going. He's had over 100 yards 3 games in a row. If they can keep the Aaron Jones train going, that's huge. Keep the defense rested. Keep Dak off the field.
Yeah.
Give the ball to Aaron Jones, please.
I honestly think we've got a legit shot at this. It just depends on which defense shows up. Because I trust Jordan Love now. I really do.
We're in NFL. Are we going? Or is this Cowboys Packers? Are we doing it?
This is Cowboys Packers. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
If you want what we can do to get everyone's idea on this, we'll just go around in a circle and basically what your idea is on the games, and then we'll do a prediction to where, so that way each one of us can actually say something.
I'm so sorry. I jumped on this one. I sat back on the college football thing. I'm sorry.
It's like, oh, Packers.
Somebody else start, then I'll hit it in a minute. Matt, you want to go? You haven't talked in a while.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. So basically, I've talked to you a couple times over this past week about what the Packers should do, and it's honestly the best way that you could actually neutralize the Dallas Cowboys is by keeping their offense on the sideline, pound the rock. Micah Parsons is a game changer as far as on the defense goes, but in reality, he sometimes feels like he's the only one. And you see, to me, Dallas is a finesse team. You punch them in the mouth, and they're going to wilt. You saw it happen in Buffalo, where their defense just pounded them, and it felt like it was kind of over before it even started. And with Dallas, I mean,
and that San Fran game, San Fran bullied them too. That's happened twice this season.
Well, I mean, 3 times if you count. They lost to Miami, who's only beating one team that is over 500 this whole season. What's that tell you?
He's got to be loving this. He's like, Cowboys are going to go down round 1. This is great.
No, I'm seriously, and it pound the rock. If you want, you could draw up the safeties, you could draw up the cornerbacks, you could take your deep shots. Then you got the receivers to actually do it. Test that middle a little bit. Van Der Esch is actually a really good middle linebacker, and he's great in coverage. But pound the rock. You got AJ Dillon coming back. Just play some smash mouth football. Trust me, Dallas will probably wilt a little bit. That's what I really feel.
So,
and
I gotta just ask you something. It's on your point though. Ben was telling me from Texas and Sports. He was saying, make Dallas run. I don't know if you can do that though. On the other side, on the Packers defense, try to force them to run the ball.
I think whenever they actually got rid of Ezekiel Elliott, they lost that little bit of physical edge that they had in the running game. I mean, he was kind of washed up as soon as the ink dried on his brand new contract. I mean, he went from a really durable, tough running right between the tackles running back to Sharman soft. And, you look at what he's did now. I mean, they let him go. They got Tony Pollard, who is a great change of pace running back, but he's not really the guy that you want to run all the time. You do not want to run him through. He hits home runs. He goes outside. He uses his speed, and then he hurt his leg last year. It kind of really felt like he wasn't as dynamic as he was last year, in my opinion.
I get it. I agree. AKA Joe, who wants to go next? I've already done my part, I feel like.
Well,
You're allowed to
I
root for
feel
your
like
team, dude.
I feel like the Packers. I feel like the Packers have a really good shot, but I'm going to go opposite of what Med said. Though I think the key for the Packers actually is not to keep Dak off the field. If I'm the Packers, I want Dak on the field because I think you keep Dak on the field long enough, he's going to make mistakes and he's going to cost them the game. He is the weak link on that team, in my opinion. Like as I
That's
said, he's
interesting.
good. He's good, not great. Like if you go back and watch the Cowboys playoff games, every playoff game that they've had since they've had Dak, he always makes mistakes. Like
Yeah, except for that Tampa Bay one that where
whether it's
Tampa was
running the
washed.
ball at the wrong time, and not calling it, not sliding and getting a timeout, whether it's throwing interceptions, like whatever it is, like Dak with the game in his hands is like Chris Webber in the national championship game. Like he's gonna call
Chris
timeout when you
Webber.
have none.
Nice.
Like that. So if I'm the
Or like
Packers, I want Dak
J.R.
on the field.
Smith forgetting to like call a timeout or even like just hold the
That's what I'm
ball
saying.
and
Like if
brain fart.
I'm the Packers, I want Dak on the field. I want to put my best corner on CeeDee Lamb and double team him, and then I want to force Dak to throw to beat me. I want to put his arm against my defense. That's what
You
I
know
want
what's
to
funny? Shots. I actually think Tony Romo was a better quarterback than Dak. He had less talent around him
I agree.
heavily. He never had this defense. He had Dez, who wasn't CeeDee Lamb. He didn't have the offensive line, and he never had the running game that Dax had with Zeke when he was a lead. So I actually think Tony Romo, if you surround him with all that, may have made his Super Bowl.
Yeah,
he
and he
can
also
sling it.
has Jake Ferguson and also Brandon Cooks. I mean,
Yeah.
no, I can actually honestly see your point of that argument.
Yeah. All right, AK. What's your Dallas thoughts, man? Packers.
I'm just looking here at Jordan Love and what he's done the past 4 games against the defenses he's done it against. I'm trying to get a scheme because he's been on fire against the Panthers, against the Vikings, against the Bears.
Bo Melton has gotten more playing time. They've been doing this trio of Wicks, Melton, and Jaden Reed, man, who I think is our home run hitter. But those 3 receivers. We just got Musgrave back. We had Tucker Kraft. I watch every Packers game. He just seems to be getting more and more comfortable. Like he just doesn't look like he's bothered out there.
Well, his last
the
8
offensive
games,
line's gelling too.
He's only been under 100 for his rating one time, and that was against the Giants. And I'm trying to get a feel for what.
And they came back in the second half in that game.
Yeah, and what is he seeing? And
stat.
the Cowboys run like 4-3 nickel, usually one high safety. And I'm trying to see if that's something that he can attack.
Joe, man, I feel bad. Joe, that was fun.
Okay.
I didn't know how long you had.
I'm trying to see, like that's the matchup for me. Like they're the Cowboys are not. You can try to run the ball, but they're gonna try to make Jordan Love throw it. I think. I mean, he's a young quarterback in his first game, but Dan Quinn, typically likes to use a nickel defense, 4-3. They like to run the single high safety look, cover 3 or cover 1, meaning man, which means there's going to be openings if Jordan Love can do it. They're going to have the Cowboys have a smaller defense relatively. So ideally you'd want to run the rock against them. But can you run the rock?
Especially if Hankins is back. I don't know if that's a huge one if Hankins is healthy, because that's made a world of difference because he's the only space eater they've got on that defensive line. So that's huge. The other thing is Gerard Bland I think you can target him. He either gets a pick or gives up huge plays, and it wasn't just in that Seattle game. Like Gilmore's by far their better cover.
They kind of pulled off. They've been helping him though, I think.
Yeah,
he's
that's true.
Kind
I think they've been shadowing safety.
He got exposed in the Seattle game by DK Metcalf when they put him on an island. Because
his defensive player of the year, case just started tailing off.
Yeah, I think he still made
right there.
His last few games, Jordan Love, the teams that blitz the most. So he played the Bears and the Vikings and the Panthers and the Bucks. And the Bucks and the Vikings and the Panthers are all top 10 in blitz rate. And the Cowboys are just outside the top 10, just below the Carolina Panthers. So if they blitz,
good stats,
it leads you to believe Jordan Love would eat that alive based off his recent trends. And I think
interesting
the speed, and if Matt LaFleur's smart, he will motion until the cows come home, because that's
Yeah,
what,
but don't just
what
do
Kyle
ends
Shanahan does.
don't just do jet sweeps. Use the motion in different ways. Hey, there we go.
There you go. I'll give you some Jordan
There it is.
Love highlights as you talk about
There we
Oh,
go.
I
Nick's
love
Look
it.
at that.
romance
So there you go.
or
Yeah,
Isaac
A lot
so
of
you
deep
look-
shots over the middle, if you haven't noticed,
Man,
is
I wish-
a lot of what they
Where's my
do.
Ryan
See, the
Clark?
last three
That's-
plays are
Look at that, dude. When you're playing, when you if you're going single high safety,
Sorry, we have a
the
storm
open
going on. That's why my internet's like,
the open part of the field is
you get.
typically
That's
in
awesome.
between the corner and the safety, right? It's
Mhm.
that hash
Mhm.
to numbers range, and that the Bears film right there showed you they will eat that alive. And the Green Bay Packers receivers have a lot of speed, and Matt LaFleur needs to be moving people around, motioning, because that gives the Cowboys fits.
right.
Fits. That's
And
what
the
they
other
should
thing
be.
that's really, I feel like that's just made our offense so much more dynamic as we got Aaron Jones healthy, and we've got a consistent running game to fall back on when we've needed it.
Well, you can
And
move him out of
that's opened
he's
up our
he's a
passing game.
he's a threat out of the backfield.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
that's
great.
like
Aaron Dylan, I mean, at his best, actually, he's a really good complimentary back, but that's exactly what he is. He's a complimentary back. He's kind of the opposite of Pollard. He's great for smashing it in the middle when the defense is wearing down, but he's better between the tackles. Pollard actually needs a guy like Dylan, but early downs. That's, I think, one of the reasons why
Mhm.
Pollard hasn't been as effective this year, because
Yeah.
there's no one to soften the defense up.
Right.
But the curl flat region of the defense, those, like I said, from the hash to just outside the numbers, that's where you can eat him alive. And if he's doing a lot of motion, crossing around, stuff like that, Jordan Love will have a freaking field day.
Yeah.
And
I,
what Jordan Love was able to do was actually
good
very
analysis.
impressive, because the Bears actually run typically a Tampa 2 defense, which is supposed to take your mid-range to long-range passes. So, like you said, I mean, that is pretty impressive. He was able to pick them apart like that.
I mean, you got linebackers just
That's
dropping
exactly what
straight in.
Matt said they weren't going to do. We were talking about this. He said, that's not how you hit us. And then that's how we hit him. And I was like, I was impressed because
No,
he's doing it with, he's also doing this with the receivers that you wouldn't have expected. Everyone thought Dubs, who got hurt early in that game, and Watson, who's been hurt for like, what, I don't know, 8 weeks now, at least 6 weeks. He's doing it with Wicks, who I think is a 7th round rookie. He's doing it with Jaden Reed, who's been just killing it.
He was
yeah, I
phenomenal
like
at
him a
Michigan
lot.
State.
But he's also doing with Bo Melton, who I think is undrafted or 7th round. I don't know. He's either 7th round or undrafted.
Love that guy.
He's giving me Donald Driver vibes.
Right.
Seriously, I
Love
love
that
this
guy.
kid. It's he's had 3 straight strong games correlated with Aaron Jones. Bo Melton has, and I like that he's getting playing time. Honestly,
Right.
Um,
All right.
Those are good
That's good
DraftKings
analysis.
numbers, by the way.
That is. I
I'm
would
worried
say-
about just a little side note. I'm also worried about our kicker. He scares me. So that is one element. I hope it doesn't come down to that at the end. But that's such a big difference in a game. If you miss a couple kicks, that's a 6.
Hopefully, it doesn't do what
point
Cody
swing.
Parkey did with us.
Yeah, hopefully not. He's been a little shaky. So
I mean,
My
it's
dad was making that
the
point,
5-year
too.
anniversary of that. God, double doink.
yeah.
Double doink.
Double
Well,
doink.
thanks for sticking so long on my Packer game, guys, because I wanted to hit all of them, and I had some other ideas. We're already over an hour in, but I'm having a blast. So, what's
Yeah.
score predictions?
This thing's gonna
That's
be
tough,
going-
honestly.
I think
Go
it's
ahead,
going to
man.
be a little bit lower score. Well, I wouldn't say lower scoring. I would say probably 31-27. And
what I was thinking, actually.
I'm going back and forth between because it really depends on who shows up. If
Mhm.
Dak goes into Superman mode, I really just think y'all just need to keep basically shorten the game. Keep
That's
run the
exactly what I
ball,
want to do.
and
I'm kind of
just
against
get 'em
Joe on
off the
that one.
field. No, Joe made a good point, but at the same time, I mean, because Dak does tend to choke in the postseason, but I mean, I just think really your best chances are keep them off the field, hit them with like some short intermediate routes every now and then when you get the defense to come up and everything like that. You hit them deep. Then you got the talent.
I think we also might be able to hit Reed between the numbers and get another. The way he played last week against the
Well, he's
Bears,
a diamond.
where he only had
He's a
4
diamond.
catches for like almost 120 yards. Give him the ball in space in that 10
Well,
to
I
15
watched
yard range, and he might bust it for 40. It's possible, even against the Cowboys' fast defense. He could. It's possible.
They want Dak so badly to be the reason they're winning. So they're
Mhm.
going to do everything they can to make him the reason they're winning.
Yeah, and
That's-
I mean,
Yeah.
There was actually a question that popped up on my Twitter, and we'll go to the next game after this if y'all want. That said, which team is under more pressure right now, the 49ers or Dallas? And they tried to attribute it to the fact that both teams have not won the Super Bowl since 1994 and 95. And, right this week, I would say it's the 49ers because we kind of expect them to win the Super Bowl right now. And Dallas
I would say Dallas though, because I think they're going to lose their coach.
Well, that's because of their fans. Their fans every year, you sit there and you listen to them. They're like, "Oh, how about them boys? It's going to be this year. It's going to be our year."
They're awful.
It's you hear that every year.
They're already calling for McCarthy's job before the game's even started.
Yeah, they are. They're like, "Let's fire him," and I'm like, I don't think they're gonna do it. Jerry does not like to get rid of his. He's so loyal to a fault. He doesn't want to get rid of Dak. He wants to pay him, and he doesn't want to get rid of Martin McCarthy. He wants to pay him, and he wants to keep him because he won a Super Bowl with us.
Well, look at what they did.
I don't think he's loyal. I think he's. I think he's.
Cheap. I mean, Jason Garrett.
He wants to be right. He drafted these dudes, and he wants to make sure they're right, and that's why he sticks with him. I don't think it's loyalty.
That's the problem.
Dude. I think he doesn't want to be wrong.
Jerry wants to win his way, and that's why he hasn't won his way yet. Because that one Super Bowl he won after he got rid of Jimmy, they got Dion, and they had the best team in the NFL by a mile once they got Dion after he won that Super Bowl with the 49ers. So, you could have won with me as the coach. It wouldn't have mattered.
Let me see if I get.
Leadership is to have some of the guys that have gone before that have been disappointed to share it with everybody involved. For me, it's a reminder. I too have been here 23 years, and it is a reminder.
Oh, there goes my awesome internet service right now.
By the way, AK, I don't know if we had actually announced this. We're playing with names in our logo, but this is actually going to be the beginning of a new show. You're welcome to join too. Oh, there we go. Sorry.
And so, having said that, I want me some glory hole.
He wants some what?
Glory hole.
Boy hope?
Oh no, I'll play it again for you. When I saw this clip.
Me some glory hole.
Wow.
So I have that perspective.
There you go.
He's got that perspective.
All
right.
We are PG-13 here, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, once I saw that, I have to actually play this.
God, that's great. I'd never seen that. I'm a little sad I never got to see that. That's awesome. It's on my page on Facebook streaming. That's good. I like it.
Kids love that.
Yeah, none of my students are watching right now, but yeah.
Sorry, kids.
How do you follow that?
I don't think any of them actually hopped on this episode, which is good. I think Love is going to be a force. I think the Packers are going to be a force next year if they can figure out this defense. I agree.
So
I hope so.
I've been bouncing back and forth between Packers.
I'm going to pick Green Bay. I'm going to just do it. I'm going to go a little lower scoring. I'm going to go 27-24.
Okay. That's good shit.
AK, you doing it?
I mean, if what are we talking? Spread or straight?
Straight up. Let's just
straight up.
Just straight up. I do think we have a chance to cover the points, honestly, if I'm being for real. Picking with my heart right now, but I think it's possible.
I think
they're beatable. Seattle almost took them out.
Yeah, the Cowboys haven't been. Yeah, I want to pick Green Bay so bad because I can't stand the Cowboys.
There's my dad.
I think
there he is.
34-31. 34-31 Green Bay.
Nice. Tom Valenti joining. Thanks, Dad. Nice, man. All right. Any more Packers thoughts? Or you guys, you know what? I've owned the time way too much. I'm sorry. I was very excited. What do y'all, who wants to pick the next one? I'd like to hit all 6.
I'm going to go ahead and say, how about we do the game that it just feels like they both are on kind of a slide.
I'm worried about our kicker too, Dad. I agree.
Tampa Bay, Philly?
Ooh, Tampa Bay, Philly?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a really good one. I'm torn. I threw it up in some Facebook groups.
All the
Um,
NFC games are actually like you sit there and you like scratch your head. You're like, "Ooh,
yeah,
this
they
is good."
are. They're all
Really good.
upset worthy. And isn't Philly? So Philly. Oh wow, the spread moved to 3, huh? AK,
Mm.
did you see that? It was one and
Yeah.
a half, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What's the reason for that? Is there somebody hurt?
You know, I
I
don't
didn't
I
even
know.
get
haven't
to
heard
injuries on
anything.
the Packer game, but I'm doing 2 more shows on it, so I'll hit it.
So,
Oh, this Jalen Hurts finger thing, but then the line
the finger
moved
thing.
more heavily for Philly, and AJ Brown is banged up.
Have we seen anything from Jalen Hurts' finger? I've been waiting to see on that.
It
I'm
looks
just
pretty
seeing
crooked.
questionable on Yahoo right now. That's all I'm saying.
It literally looks like
Okay.
his
I didn't know if there's
finger is like that. Yeah.
It's not broken, isn't it?
he
Dislocated.
when
Yeah,
he so this is in my realm of what I do for a living.
right.
Mhm.
He held his hand up. It looked like he had mallet finger, which is a rupture of one of the tendons here, which causes your middle knuckle to dip and the end of your finger to flex. And if you remember, Russ Wilson had the same injury a few years ago
Mhm.
whenever he had surgery and came back in like 4 weeks. So I think he has mallet finger when I saw the replay. I haven't seen anything confirmed or denied. But if that's on his throwing hand, that's going to be a rough go. I think they can brace it well enough, but I don't know if they can make the bracing low
Is it
profile
on
enough.
his throwing hand?
I think it's on his throwing
You
hand.
know, I actually like.
Mm,
I was
that's
already
deep.
starting to like flip my pick. I think I know we're not getting to the picks yet, but I'm starting to lean Tampa, man. Philly
Well,
looked broken with a healthy Hurts and AJ Brown.
I look at the strengths and weaknesses of this game. I'm looking at the fact that Tampa Bay is really good at throwing the ball. They got Mike Evans, they got Chris Godwin, and you got Baker Mayfield, who is just kind of like came on real strong this season. Now, yeah, they've played their worst
Mhm.
2 games of the season these past 2 weeks as far as Tampa
They
Bay goes, but I
on
think the fact
offense,
that
yeah.
as far as like how their offense is predicated to throwing the ball and the fact that Philly's defense sucks against the pass. I mean, last year, the main reason why their defense worked so well is they were able to put pressure on the quarterback. They had 4 guys that had 11 plus sacks last year. Now they have 1.
Not this year. Not
And
this
whenever
year.
they let
Yeah.
Javon Hargrove go, and they're like, "Well, we got Jalen Carter coming in," yeah, he had a great rookie year, but he did not didn't match the production that those 2 other guys had. Hasten Reddick is the only one that has over double-digit sacks, and the next closest one is 6.5.
And doesn't it seem like that defensive line is wearing down? Like
Yeah.
the Jalen Carter started super strong, and not just him, but the entire defensive line's been getting less and less pressure over the last. I mean, I got to pull up the stats, but it just feels that way.
I think
Like
they're one of
Jalen
the
Carter, you're
oldest
not
teams.
hearing his name as much.
But it is an interesting matchup because Tampa Bay is fairly good against the run, and
Yes, they
Philly
are.
likes to run the ball.
Mhm.
Tampa Bay can throw the football. I mean, Rashad White's dynamic too, but
Yeah.
and
Yes, he
Philly
is,
can't stop
especially in
it.
the
So
passing
it's
game.
like Philly, the matchup
It's
for this
interesting.
is going to be more than likely relying on the arm of Jalen Hurts and that hand where I think he still has mallet finger. And
And
credit if I'm
yeah. And I mean, one of the things that I actually pointed out to Isaac on one of his shows was that whenever I watch Jalen Hurts right now, a lot of people don't really question his arm strength. Now, I followed Alabama and I was a defensive player when I played. But when I look at him right now, I noticed that there have been 3 interceptions in the past 3 weeks where they basically undercut him and they were able to pick off the ball. And it just felt like he wasn't really just getting the ball there. I don't know if that was
he
really
holds
the
on
arm
to the
strength.
ball too long.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree. I know what
Yeah.
you're saying. He hangs on to the ball too
And they
long.
can react.
He's not throwing with anticipation. Right? There was
Yeah.
I know it's one of the ones you're talking about was to Quez Watkins? Like a deep
Quez
crosser
Watkins.
and
Well,
I think there was one to
he was
Watkins. Yeah.
open. He was open
Yeah.
out of the gate and he waited forever to throw he won't throw the football.
Mm-hmm. And
So
Julian Love, who was with Seattle, I mean, that's what he did with 2 of the 2 of those interceptions is he just undercut him and he was throwing it to AJ Brown. I mean, dude's a running muscle, and he just undercut him and caught him. I mean, I just like you said, he holds on to the ball, but also at the same time, can he throw it deep constantly?
I
He was
think
he was a
I think
scrambling
if Hurts
quarterback
and
that
Brown
didn't
were
make them.
healthy, I think if they were healthy, I'd pick them. But it already didn't play to their strengths. And I'm just gonna like be a little funny for a second, but it's true. Don't Philly felt like they were crying for help the way they played the last few weeks. Like something's wrong, man. It's not just the
They look
fact that
like
they
they're
have the
already in
worst.
Cancun.
They just don't look like they want to play together. They got the worst
Cancun on
linebackers
3.
in the league, even with Shaq Leonard. Their pass defense sucks. They can't rush the passer. They're getting away from their strength on offense, which is running the ball, and it's not even that great of a strength anymore. There isn't anything they do that's even elite. I could just look at the stats, but when you watch the team, there looks like there's something wrong, and I think it's more than just Super Bowl hangover, or it's just a really bad lingering one. But they should
Well,
not be this way with this much talent on offense and some of the talent they have on D. And
even on defense, you really look at what they were at all season long. I mean, from the start to even now, their
just
defense
terrible.
wasn't there. And
The
I mean, they
defense
struggled
sucks.
struggled against the Vikings near the beginning of the season. And I want to say this is when Kirk Cousins was having his issues. And it just seems like they just, as far as their defense, they took a massive step backwards. I mean, they lost Javon Hargrove and TJ Edwards, the
Gardner
Bears signed
Johnson.
Edwards. And I
And
mean,
Gardner
those
Johnson.
two, yeah. And I mean, it's just they also I think they lost someone on their offensive line too. I can't remember.
They played
who.
earlier this year. You remember that?
Oh, no way. They did?
Monday night game. Philly won 25-11 in Tampa.
Oh, they dominated them.
Philly ran. I mean, they were very balanced that game. Jalen Hurts did have 2 picks that game.
Yeah. And another thing is that Tampa Bay has one of the youngest teams. I didn't even know that. They only got 2 guys on the starting defense that are 30 years old.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift ran wild against them.
Yeah, that was when he was pounding it. Their offensive line isn't even getting the same push. And AK kind of hit it earlier, but Philly's only real strength on D is they can stop the run, and Tampa doesn't even want to run it. Tampa's the worst team in running the ball in the league. As good as Rashad White is, it's not running the ball. He averaged like 3.6 yards a carry this year. He had almost 1,000 yards. He's a receiving threat. Huh?
Yeah, I was going to say he had almost 1,500 yards. I think he had just over
950, 960 rushing, and then like over 500 receiving. Almost over, I think like 550 receiving or something like that. But like over like a decent chunk of it was receiving. This feels like a bad matchup for Philly, even if they were healthy, even though they beat them earlier this year.
A key
again, I go back.
Also is, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to go back to the blitz rate again. The blitz rate.
Let's do that.
The Vikings played close. The Bucks played them close. The Giants were all over them. And the Vikings and the Giants blitz all the time, and they have given Philly fits. So I would expect Tampa Bay to just blitz again, because Hurts holds on to the ball.
Yes.
So
Tampa Bay's defense is the key here.
I think they can take this.
Yeah.
If his fingers messed up, and AJ Brown, if he's not 100, man, like they're so top heavy with their talent right now that like AJ Brown has been making that offense. You got Reed Blankenship questionable. You got AJ Brown questionable. You got Jalen Hurts questionable. That scares the hell out of me right there. And Sidney Brown's out. The Bucks don't have any real injuries, except I guess Baker tweaked his ankle. That scares me too. And their tackle's questionable. That's it.
And a Richard stat that I actually looked up when you joined me and Seth on our show was that Richard White, if the Bucks actually give him the ball 23 times or more, they were 5-0 in the and when they went on that little run. And I
watched it against the Packers.
Yeah. I mean, 23 touches. Yeah, exactly. You saw what he can do if they actually
just dumped. I had him in fantasy. He dumped the ball off to him in space and just watch him meet. And with Evans and Godwin, they can destroy you on offense when they're rolling.
Yep. So what are y'all thinking?
I'm thinking Tampa wins, and I think it's actually by like 10 or more. I don't trust Philly. I think they're going to win 27-17. I'm going to pick the Bucks.
I'm going to go 24-17 Bucks.
Yeah, I don't think it's I'd go 28-24 Bucks.
Hey, real quick. Patty Ice
by a score.
Love you, man.
And I was reading.
All right. Sorry, he was the guy that was my other
you go.
co-host. So
Nice. You want to do that
Okay.
last NFC game, guys?
Nice. They
I
did
think
do
this is a fun
X-rays.
one.
and he is a Bucks fan,
X-rays.
so he really liked that.
X-rays were they were negative on his finger, but that's not going to show any ligament or soft tissue
No,
damage.
they're
He's going to
not.
be wearing a glove. I bet you. I'm telling you, he tore a ligament in his finger. He tore a tendon in his finger.
And he already had problems getting the ball down the field. That's not going to help.
I'm telling you, there
That ain't gonna help, man.
And
I'm
just
smelling upset city in all 3 NFC games. I really am.
yeah.
Seriously, I'm smelling it. I think the Rams.
Way to foreshadow your next pick.
Yeah.
Go ahead, dude. Lead us in.
Don't you guys think though? Seriously, like I just got a problem with Detroit's defense. Like Detroit, at their best, is probably. I'm going to shock you. I think they're the best contender. The winner of this matchup is the best contender to the 49ers this year because the Packers are too young, and I don't trust Dallas. Unless Dallas gets pissed off and wakes up, I can't see them going into San Fran. If there was a challenger to the 49ers in the NFC, and I don't think there is a legitimate one, it's going to come out of this game, the Lions-Rams. And my problems with the Lions, I trust Stafford over Goff heavily.
That's to the
shots.
people
Yeah, I like it,
commenting.
man. I like the comments thing during the show. It's really smart. And my dad said something about Lamb earlier. I'd put Valentine on him. I actually like the way Valentine's been playing.
I saw
We can
that.
get into that more later. Here's my problem. I don't trust Goff. And if Aaron Donald, they could find a way to get pressure. I don't love this Rams D, but if they could find a way to get pressure on Goff, that would completely change the game. And neither defense is elite, but Kyron Williams, man, it's weird. The Lions' rush D is great, but are they really going to be able to slow down Kyron Williams? Because this guy's just been eaten, man, when he's been in. They're 10th, and he missed. How many games did he miss? He missed like 6. He missed a healthy chunk.
It was at least 4 because I think he was on IR.
Yeah, he was on IR, man. So I just like legit. I think the Rams have got the horses to do this. Both teams do, but the Sam Laporta thing really kills the Lions. That's a huge loss for them if he misses this game. Campbell's going to get some flack for playing him. I just, he is questionable. I saw that. They don't have any other big injuries. It just feels like a game Stafford can easily win. And I actually think the Lions defense, even though they've been playing better against the run, and I like the Lions. I'm not trying to shade on them. I'm a Packers fan, but I respect what they've done this year. I think this Rams team is. They only lost the one game to Baltimore in overtime on a freaking. That's the one way the Rams could get screwed in this game is on special teams. Their special teams is trash, but they won. They're hotter than Green Bay. The Lions actually have been really up and down. If you look at them, they destroyed Denver, but they lost to Chicago after they should have lost to Chicago, and they lost to us on Thanksgiving. Since Thanksgiving, they lost that stupid Dallas game in a close one. They barely edged out Minnesota twice. And the Rams have been the best team in the league over the second half of the season. So long-winded story. I'm going Rams.
The Lions don't. The Lions are really good against the run. They're terrible against the pass. So you would.
Yep.
Conventional wisdom would tell you that Matt Stafford's going to have a pretty big game if they're going to win. I will push back on the. Yeah, I would. So if you're playing DraftKings, play Stafford. I would push back on
would
this.
you play Stafford this week?
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Especially with
Revenge
like
he's gonna eat.
Detroit pass defense.
Nakua might have like 150 in a touch or two, and Cup might have 100 plus.
Expect the Lions to run the ball a billion times. I'm telling you right now, that's what they're going to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's going to be their only way to win.
Defense is middle of the road against everything.
Yeah, they really are on defense.
What's crazy, a lot of people didn't expect that.
Yeah.
True.
No. I mean,
it's better than expected. They're ahead of schedule. Weirdly.
Yeah, they are.
They shouldn't be this good. And then they hit on some players, and it's changed their fortunes.
This little winning
the players that you.
Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, so what I was going to say is like some of the players they actually hit on and everything was Kobe Turner and Brian Young, both players they got in the third round. Kobe Turner has 9 sacks, might potentially be your defensive rookie of the year this year. I mean, he's that important to this team. And then you had Brian Young, who was from Tennessee, and he's just been kind of murking it as well. I mean, the defense has been really good. I'm really surprised. I think they were 13-13 last time I checked with points for and yards against. But whenever you look at this, Jared Goff, I mean, I've
Yards?
never.
They're 20th right now, but they're 12th in
20th
rushing.
right now. Okay.
Yeah, they're 20th in
So,
passing and total, but they're up to 12th in rushing, which isn't bad actually. That's actually that's solid.
It's not like their defense is. It's not like Detroit where they're just abysmal. Like they're just
Yeah.
a solid.
Yeah, Detroit's
don't break
second in
defense.
rushing and 27th in passing, and that's why I'm like Stafford's just gonna eat, man.
especially with Nakua. I mean, dude came
I mean,
out
look
of
at what
nowhere.
Dak did. Like Stafford could just do what Dak did to the Lions and just feed one guy, but he's got 2 guys, and
Yeah.
it's going to be a field day. You can't double
Well, 3
one.
if
The
you
other
can't.
one's just going to destroy it.
There's really 3 of them if you really think about it. They don't have
Yeah.
just Cooper Kupp. They
Demarcus
also,
Robinson's been having
well,
himself
not
some
just him.
days.
I'm thinking of Tutu Atwell. I mean, he's
Tutu
been actually
Atwell
balling
as well. So they've
So,
got
I mean,
weapons
they're loaded.
galore. This is a bad matchup for in that respect for the Lions heavily, because
It
it's
is
even worse
because
than
you look
Dallas
at
because
Goff,
they can spread it.
and we've talked about this before. Goff is one of those players that you don't know exactly what you're going to get whenever he goes out on the field. I mean, right now he's wanting that new contract where he's making $50 million a year, so that's going to be also kind of a distraction for the Lions as it is as well. And whenever he actually gets pressure, remember the Super Bowl where he folded like a cheap lawn chair? I can actually see him doing it again in this game, because really and truthfully, they kind of struggled towards the end because a lot of people at the beginning, there was no pressure on them. This was a division that they were supposed to win this year.
Well,
the Packers weren't
there is
really
also
supposed
the
to be where
revenge
they're at.
element. There is
There
the
is a
revenge
revenge
element.
element.
Both guys want to stick it to their former team, and I
It's
actually
more of
think
a
you're going to see a
revenge
decent day
element
out of
for
Goff.
than it is for Stafford. Stafford wanted to
Yeah.
actually get a chance at a Super Bowl. Goff was just unfortunately the person that was the bystander that got the axe,
Mhm.
and
They
he
threw him
fit.
out.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, we're done.
He
with
was
you.
pissed.
You can't.
Stafford, like, I'm out of here. They threw Goff out.
Yeah,
They were like,
so, I mean,
you can't score in the Super Bowl at all with
Yeah.
this team.
exactly.
Deuces.
Time to go.
Goodbye.
And to Detroit's credit, they actually made a good situation out of one that a lot of people kind of were like raising eyebrows at. Why would you go for Goff? But he has turned it around. He's done pretty well, I guess, but he's not no $50 million a year quarterback.
Oh heck no! They'd make him. Honestly, I wonder what they're going to do with him, because they got him under contract for one more year, and then they're either going to have to pay him, and the cap's going to balloon for them. So their window's now, because they got some other guys on cheap deals, some rookies that they've landed.
Well, they got Hayden Hooker, I believe. So I mean, that's not a bad backup option right there. You
might end up being their starting option, because I just don't.
Yeah.
Goff. We got into quarterbacks earlier. I'm just going to be frank. Goff, when he's hot, can be great. He really can. He is a fun system quarterback. It's like Purdy light. I wouldn't pay him. I wouldn't. He's too much under pressure. That Packer game is a really good example. Or the Super Bowl. He's not the guy. They had the best team. With any competent quarterback, they could have beaten that New England team. New England only threw up 13 points, and he couldn't get it done. And I think it shouldn't be an indictment that you got to a Super Bowl, but for him it is. I wouldn't pay him. He's better than some other starting quarterbacks, but I wouldn't pay him.
J-Vi on our show made an interesting point in that Super Bowl, is that Sean McVay, I think it was something with the play calling that could be in at a certain time, and Bill Belichick knew it. And he was not allowing Sean McVay enough time to get the play in, because he was shuffling personnel in and out and kind of playing a behind the scenes game. So that's why they couldn't score. J-Vi made that point. That Jared Goff is I can't remember. It's something to do with you only have a certain amount of time to get your plane. I don't know, something with the radio before it shuts off. And I think Bill Belichick knew that, and he was just playing it to a T. of not allowing them to get the play in when that time was allowed, whatever. It'd be interesting to go back and watch to see if they made a bunch of substitutions.
I'm gonna have to, you know what? Note of that. I've been writing some notes down.
Yeah.
I'm doing some off-season homework.
Check-
So I'm gonna take a few. I'm gonna take. I haven't told Med, but I'm definitely taking at least 2 weeks off after the Super Bowl. Just no podcasts. But sorry
Jared
about the creaky
Jared
chairs.
Goff is a very good play action quarterback. That's what he's really good at.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
Play action, ball out, get it done. He's not the guy who's going to sit back there, and he's very bad against pressure. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
if the Rams are smart, they'll bring pressure. But that's what they would do.
And
I want to say thanks to everybody for watching us for an hour and 40 minutes now. We still got like 6 people watching. That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, 7. Well, you might be one of those.
Oh, on your
7,
page
but,
too. I've got my YouTube up, so I guess we're at 11 because I've got 4 on there. So
one
the
other
YouTube thing is huge.
So I guess we can move over to the AFC side if y'all want.
So
Oh
we
no,
all
no,
picking-
no.
are we-
No,
wait.
no.
We're staying right here.
I gotta do this because Cowboys fans have been all over us about the Rams are the hottest team. And the reason the Cowboys fans are all over it is because they think the Rams are the best matchup against the 49ers to knock them out. That's why they want, that's why Cowboys Nation is all over the Rams, because they think the Rams can go there and beat San Francisco. Let's take a look at this winning record that the Rams have here. They lost to the Steelers, playoff team. They lost to the Cowboys, blown out, playoff team. They lost to the Packers, playoff team. They beat the Seahawks.
Stafford was out in that game. Stafford was out.
Yes.
And Kyron Williams.
Yes.
That was a cheap win for us.
They beat
I
the
just gotta give them
Seahawks.
that.
They beat the Seahawks, not a playoff team. They beat the
No.
Cardinals, not a playoff team.
No.
They beat the Browns when the Browns didn't have anybody to play quarterback. They got beat by the Ravens, playoff teams. They beat the Commanders, terrible. They're not a playoff team. They beat the Saints, terrible, not a playoff team. They beat the Giants, terrible, not a playoff team. They beat the 49ers B team. Okay. So they're the hottest team. They lose to good teams and they beat terrible teams.
Except for that Browns one, although Flacco wasn't in yet.
Yeah, he wasn't.
And that Baltimore one is actually, to me, I agree with you on the last 4. The Baltimore one, to me, though, they fought Baltimore and almost took them out in regulation. That was a hell of a game.
But they have
Baltimore is probably the best team in the league other than San Fran. So.
Other than the Cleveland Browns, they have 0 wins against playoff teams.
True. They do.
The Browns were playing PJ Walker at that point.
I am curious, though, if like this whole the rookies and the gelling, if that's been one of the reasons other than beating crap teams. The problem with this year, though, is there's the same number of playoff teams, but honestly, there's just not that many good teams this year. There really isn't. Like, my team's peaking at the right time, but I'm just going to be honest here. Like, we're ahead of schedule. Yay for us. We're like Houston. Like, we're ahead of schedule. We're super young. I'm just impressed we did it with such a young team. I think our future is super bright. But making it now, I'm excited just that they made it. I didn't expect that. We lost our left tackle. We lost Rodgers. We had the youngest receiving core. I saw this on Adam Schefter posted it, and I'm not going to do a long-winded thing, but we were the youngest team since the 77 Bears to make the playoffs. That's effing awesome. Almost 50 years. But there's not a lot of great teams this year, so it's really tough because the Cowboys had the same thing where they, except for freaking Seattle and Philly, who's been trash, they hadn't beaten anybody. I've already know the Cowboys thing. They haven't beaten anybody.
Neither of the Rams.
No, neither of the Rams. Honestly, it's kind of an indictment on the Packers. We haven't really beaten anybody either, sadly.
Nobody's beaten anyone.
No one's beaten anyone because there's no one. Wait, we didn't do the actual picks though.
Sorry.
Were y'all taking Rams?
Rams.
No, I'm taking the
What's
Lions.
the score?
I'm taking the Lions.
You are? I thought so. I knew it's like there's no way we're all gonna
Sorry.
pick Detroit. All right, what's your scores? I'm gonna go.
You need to write all these down so we can remember who said what, and then
Okay.
tweet it.
So no.
Just
We
talk
all
to
agreed. I won't do score, but we all picked. I can't believe I got you guys on board. We all picked Green Bay. We all picked Tampa Bay. AK is picking. He's picking Detroit. Me and Med, we're going Rams. What's the scores?
Ooh, this is a high.
That's tough.
over-under.
I'm gonna go.
I think
I'm gonna go 34-10. I'll go 37-31.
I think the
it's gonna be
Lions
really high scoring.
I think they blow them out. I think it's 34-20.
Ooh, nice. Med?
34-31.
All right, Med, you get to pick the first AFC game. Or no, yeah, you pick the first one, then AK can pick the next one.
Okay.
The AFC ones are not as fun to me at all.
Well, I'm going to
Like,
go with the fun one. And shout out to AK, the whole like revenge thing that y'all kept talking about with all the side stuff. I read that. I was like, damn, that's a lot of stuff. The one that is intriguing to me the most, I would say.
I think I know which one.
Do you?
That's
Well,
just an
My
embodiment
guess
of our
is there's no way it's Buffalo Pittsburgh. There's no way it's
Absolutely
Buffalo
not.
Pittsburgh. I
Well, with
honestly
me-
think
Go. I personally was thinking it was going to be Kansas City and Miami was the one.
yeah,
I'm
that's the one.
intrigued by.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you want to take that one, I'll go with Browns and Houston because, you know, one of the big keys that I'm wondering is Deshaun Watson going to go back to his massage parlor? I mean, that's what's the over under on
Where's he
that?
watching the game from? The sidelines or the box? Or the
I
They're gonna need to
mean,
put some security on
I
Deshaun
said the
Watson.
athletic training room.
Now, Denzel Ward being questionable is a huge storyline in this one, and their
Mhm.
kicker's out for Cleveland.
I mean, this is also
It's
one
tough
of
to
those
pick
games.
Cleveland. It's tough to pick Houston, though, man. Like, yeah, I love CJ Stroud, but they don't have a running game. Defense is solid. It's okay, actually.
What's crazy about that is, you know, with Dameon Pierce, a lot of people really expected him to really step up his game from last year, especially after he got hurt. And, you know, you
Just
sit
tailed
there and
off.
you see him plummet. They put in Devin Singletary, who was cast off, by Buffalo, and he's
Mhm.
actually done pretty decent. But yeah, no, Houston is way ahead of schedule, and a lot of people are like, of course, CJ Stroud. He started off really hot. He kind of cooled off a little bit towards the end. I think he has 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
He's also been hurt. He was hurt
He
too.
has
Missed
been
a couple
hurt, but
games.
he has insane chemistry with Nico Collins, and the fact that they lost Tank Dell. I mean, that's a huge hit. And I do like
Yeah.
Dalton Schultz. I mean, great tight end. But when you lose a player that could be a playmaker like Tank Dell, I mean, that's going to be huge in this game. And especially with the Browns having a Super Bowl caliber defense, both the running backs have filled in really good after Nick Chubb had his second most horrific knee injury I have seen, like watching the game. Like, ooh, that doesn't look good. And
Willis McGahee the first.
Flacco. Huh?
Was Willis McGahee the first?
That was pretty bad too. I've
Yeah.
never seen it when the leg bends like that. No.
Oh God,
yeah,
that's awful when that happens.
we could probably do a top 10 on injury. No.
Mm-mm.
But
Yeah, we'll do an injury
So-
one in the offseason. We'll be
but
like,
really-
boom, boom, boom.
but
Some bad
I will
ones.
just go ahead and say I want to pick the Browns simply because ever since Joe Flacco has got there and they got the Flacco fever, they have been able to throw the ball. With Deshaun Watson, they couldn't really do it. And he's got this insane chemistry with Amari Cooper.
Or Robinson Thompson.
Yeah, he has a really and truthfully, Amari Cooper is probably the best receiver he's thrown at besides Anquan Bolden his whole career. And, you know, it's just one of those things where you sit there, it's hard not to pick them. I mean, the defense is Super Bowl caliber, good. I wouldn't say like they're not Nick Chubb level, but good running backs. And I mean, they got a passing game now. It's really hard to not go with the Browns on this, me personally.
Yeah. It's a fascinating matchup. Cleveland's defense is very good against the pass, middle of the road against the run.
Yeah.
And
then
Houston's got a weirdly
Houston's
good
been
run
good.
D.
Houston's got a good defense, a run defense, but they give it up against the pass. So again, it's another one of these opposite matchups, just like Philly and Tampa Bay, where it's the players you're going to expect that are going to need to step up. Can they? I don't know. This is a Coach of the Year bowl, guys.
Yes, it is.
Coach of the Year bowl.
Kevin Stefanski and DeMarco Ryans.
Yep. Coach of the Year bowl.
I think the
No
only
question
scenario
about
that Houston actually wins is their defense. Two things. Their defense has to play lights out. And CJ Stroud's going to have the game of his life against.
That defense.
I mean, I don't know if you have Baltimore, Cleveland is the best D, but
Mhm.
top 2 defense in the NFL. I mean, I don't think there's anybody else even in the conversation.
And
It's
not only
Cleveland,
that,
Baltimore.
another key about the Houston
But Denzel
defense
Ward
is-
being questionable is huge because if he can't stick, I like the other corner, but if he can't stick Cooper, that could be a huge swing in the
Mhm.
game.
and
And he's questionable as of now.
Anderson, he's I was going to say Will Anderson Jr. is questionable right now. That's
Mhm.
7 sacks.
He
I
is too.
mean, Greenard has been actually their main dude as far as putting the pressure on the quarterback. And, you know, AK probably, I think he played quarterback and I played defensive end. If you,
I meant Ward
the
on
best way to
Collins.
help
My
your
bad.
pass
I
defense
meant
is
Ward on
by
Collins.
having the pass rusher. So, I mean, and Cleveland's offensive line is actually pretty good too. So,
But they got you know, but they sorry the cats are in here. But they got Robert Woods and Noah Brown questionable. I meant Denzel Ward on Nico Collins. I flipped it. I was thinking the same team. Yeah, man, the injuries in this one are actually pretty interesting because it's a pretty big swing.
Yeah, but how comfy are these two teams? Like, thank goodness we're playing in Houston right now, because I don't want to play in Buffalo and I don't want to play
Hell
in
no.
Kansas City.
No, not with the
Say that
weather.
right now.
Like honestly, the people that are picking Miami, it's interesting to me because you must be expecting them to run the ball over KC.
it's going to be like
Because
catching rock.
you're throwing the ball is going to be really it's already been a tough day for Mahomes this all season. Those receivers in those conditions, that's going to
What's
be
it gonna
fun.
be?
Like
Like
he's
-9
going to struggle
with
to get
wind chill?
200 yards. I know we're not on that game yet, but
No, I know, but
yeah, you're right though.
it's
Like in Houston, it's going to be that is
Money.
if they can get the receivers back, that's the best scenario for them to be able to throw the ball effectively. It's just can they do it against Cleveland's D? Cleveland's
Number
a
one pass
road
defense
favorite.
in the league.
Yeah, it's going
Yeah,
to be a
I just can't go. I love Stroud. I just can't do it. I can't pick him.
Deshaun Watson's going to sit on the sideline in a lawn chair and some
Oh my gosh,
tanning oil. I
It's
mean,
gonna be great, man.
so many home.
It's gonna be awesome. I'm
yeah.
going. I actually think the Browns dominate them. I'm gonna go like 31-17. I think it's gonna be. I think they might even struggle to get to 17. I think they win by 2 touchdowns. I don't think this one's close at all.
I'm thinking 35-10.
I think the Browns are that real. The only thing, and I've read on it, is they've been a little house of cardsy on offense, and if Flacco's arm just falls off all of a sudden, it's possible. He did rest a week. Who knows? He is old, but I'm gonna go with it until I don't see it anymore.
He does throw picks, and I think he's about to pass Tom Brady if he wins this weekend for most wins in the NFL history for like wild card weekends, and I think most road victories.
Oh, road. Yeah.
Joe Flacco.
Road victories.
Get some, dude.
That's weird.
Joe Flacco. Can you guys, if we'd put a bet on quarterbacks that we'd be talking about wild card weekend, the guy who put money on Joe Flacco could have probably had 1 to 1,000 odds, maybe even more. So I'm serious. Like, what would have been the odds on that?
We talk about this all the
beginning
time.
of the season.
We played
Is there
against
a bigger
Joe Flacco.
comeback story?
We played
against Joe Flacco
in Delaware.
Oh, y'all did?
In the
In
national
Delaware? I was
title
going to
game.
say the Blue Hens or what?
2007, and we beat the wheels off of them. It was like 43 to something. Didn't matter.
Take that.
I love it. That's great,
Joe
man.
Flacco.
Seriously, that's awesome.
So,
yeah. Okay, so what y'all's picks?
I already said Browns.
Yeah,
I
think I said Browns last night on our show, but the more I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, I don't know, man. Give me Houston.
Ooh, you're taking Houston, Millie. I don't blame you. There's a small part of me that wants to do it and believe in Stroud. I just really like this D. But if Ward's out, that could be huge. So I don't blame you.
Yeah.
All right. AK, you want Buffalo, Pittsburgh, or you want KC, Miami?
Give me let's do KC Miami because we have one of the guys we played with plays for the Bills. And so we got some fun stuff to talk about there. But
this is a fun little revenge game. Tyreek Hill going back to KC. KC's 4.5-point favorites. The over/under is 43.5. And isn't the weather supposed to be completely god awful? Are they getting snow in that game?
It's gonna be -30. It's gonna be 30 below.
Jesus,
like feels like 30 below.
I mean, it's in Texas where I'm at. Like we might miss school on Tuesday. I don't have school Monday. The weather's going to be insane.
Yeah, they're already canceled.
The high is like in the 20s one of the days over here. It's just stupid.
I
So,
am interested to see what Mike McDaniels wears on the sideline because I'm pretty sure it's going to
This
be
guy
some
is the
design.
funniest man. Have you watched some of this stuff on this guy? He's freaking hilarious.
He's going to be
Love
looking
it,
like
man.
Fat Joe out there or the Michelin Man, probably in an all-white, puffy designer winter,
Looking like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man off
dude, like,
Ghostbusters.
Mike McDaniels is going to be out there styling. Probably would bring back the
Sounds
beanie that had the little bill on it. You remember those?
Oh yeah, I remember those.
You remember that? Yeah, that's going to be Mike McDaniels for sure.
Man, I wish we could get the same quad trio and 4 every week. This has been a blast. Seriously. AK has a bunch of his own shows. I don't know if he can do shows every night.
Dude, I would love to. I mean, honestly. I think
Well,
it's
we
so much
want
fun.
so we're trying to start this show blitzing that's what this is. We're trying to start blitzing the blind side. But we want to have a panel. So if you can occasionally do it, that'd be fun. We're going to try to get Joe in and possibly somebody else. But we're trying to start a new show that's not fun football or shots. It's a combined show. It's a new show. So that's what this is. It's supposed to be the first episode of that. We just didn't. We've had a busy week. We didn't get to do the graphic and start the YouTube channel yet. So
That's why we have StreamYard being logo on there. So
Nice. Blitzing the blind side. Okay. But we should
well,
do
we were kicking around names. There's a lot of good ones taken. Blitzing the blind side, or the other one I really like that Med was talking about, because then we could talk NBA. I don't know if you're an NBA guy. Was State of the Franchise, because then it could be anything. It could be college.
Here we go. Here we go, boys.
Oh, we're going.
Yeah.
When the blitz
Sorry, we
hits
got sidetracked real quick. Go ahead.
No, let's do it. I don't care. People, they're still watching. I've still got like 8 watching. 6. I can't believe it. We're continuing my 2-hour streak, Med.
AK brought him.
When the blitz hits the fan.
Ooh.
Oh. Yeah.
It's like a double entendre.
If that is available, I'm looking.
We're all
looking on YouTube.
Blitz from the blind side. Blitz when the blitz hits the fan.
I don't know, Matt, if you can check during the show, but we're looking. I'm looking to see if it's available on X. I'm checking right now.
So we're talking.
Okay, when the blitz hits the fan, I freaking love it. Because we need to come up with a graphic, but we want to come up with a name first.
I have a.
And then we were going to do this once a week, is our plan. But the only reason I like the franchise one is because I really want to talk NBA, because there's a bunch of NBA stuff happening right now, and there's going to be with the trade deadline.
No, I'm more of a
dude. I don't see it on X. Do you see it on Spotify?
Hockey? What's up?
I can try.
I'm a bit. I like my collision sports. I like the NBA too. The only sport I don't really watch is baseball. I mean, I try to keep up with it.
I watch it whenever it's.
I mean, the Rangers won the World Series. There you go. I watched 10 seconds of it.
I mean, I got season tickets to the AA affiliate of the Golden Knights here. So, but I'll try to look it up in a little bit. See if that comes in.
When the blitz hits the fan, AK. I like it.
I like it.
We were Googling names. I like that's a fun one.
You could just do like blitz hits the fan or something like that. I don't know.
Blitz hits the fan. But if that's available, what we're gonna try to do is do this once a week. We thought it'd be fun, because I'm gonna probably limit the Fun Football Pod to once a week, and Med's got his shots show. So
which is already that gets once.
Yeah.
So
okay, so we got Cleveland, Houston, right? Really quick before we kick. Okay, so we're on KC, Miami, and we were on it. AK, what was your thoughts on this?
Sidetracked by Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, we got sidetracked. I lost where we were at. We went to names.
Is Pacheco going to be able to get his knees high enough to run like he normally does, because it's going to be really cold? That's the question.
Yeah.
Is Taylor Swift going to be there?
And Miami's run D is actually really good. They're 7th.
We're not talking about Taylor Swift.
Yeah, is Taylor Swift going to be is Taylor Swift going to be jinxing KC again?
Is Travis Kelce going to be able to move his neck in that cold weather?
God,
what's the over-under of icicles on Andy Reid's mustache?
Storylines are endless.
How many fingers will be broken from the receivers trying to catch that rock?
How many expletives is Patrick Mahomes going to scream at his receivers and tight ends during this game? What's the over on that? 40?
Brutal.
Ooh, 100? Yeah, I agree.
The coldest game I ever played in, it was 0 degrees in Montana.
That's actually
my gosh,
Montana State was actually the school that sent me a letter. and I had to call.
Oh,
the
wow, I
guys
didn't know
and-
that.
Yeah, the Grizzlies, and they sent me a letter, and they're like, "Hey, you want to come play with us?" So the first thing I did is I had family that lived up in there, and I said, "So, tell me, what's Montana like?" And they're like, "Oh, you will hate it because it was literally a bar, a store, a bar, a store, a bar, and nothing but snow." He said, "And you hate cold." And like you said, I mean, what was it? -17 is what you said? AK?
It was 0 degrees. I don't know what the wind chill was, but holy moly.
Ugh. Yeah,
So I lived in the Upper Peninsula of
Yeah,
Michigan.
it was
I
nuts.
didn't play high school. I moved when I was in 6th grade, but I played a Pop Warner game in 15 degrees. But
Yeah.
I would play out in the snow because it was a nice way to keep warm in all that snow gear. And I remember having so much fun as a kid. And I think I played in literally -10 degrees Fahrenheit once. It was pretty sweet. That was actually the warmest day we'd had back then in the 90s for a while.
Oh, rain
And the
games
wind
were
chill
fun,
made it, I
same
think, like
thing.
negative. My parents didn't want me to go to school, but they didn't cancel school that day because it wasn't actually snowing that bad. It only snowed like 6 inches, which up there is nothing. But I think it was like -40, like with the wind chill, it was like -40 something degrees, and I was outside at lunch playing football, tackle.
Nice.
That was fun, man.
Nice.
Yeah. And we lived near like 3 hours north of Green Bay, where you get lake effect up there from Lake Superior. So that's extra awesome. It gets wickedly cold up there.
Yes.
All right.
But
Um,
I wish I
game,
had some high school stories.
you just throw everything out the window on this game. Just throw it all. out.
Yeah.
It's a war of attrition when you're playing in conditions like these. I know Tyreek Hill, the revenge game, but my goodness, good luck throwing a football in negative
No.
30 degree.
Yeah.
Like
You're not
this,
throwing
this
it,
is
you're not catching it.
The Mostert injury is huge. He's such a weapon for them. If he's out, that kills Miami. I know they still have a Kane or however the hell you say the guy's name, but
A-Chain.
a chain. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
been
A-Chain.
back and forth on that
They
one. I'm gonna have to
got
remember
a
it. But
couple good ones down there, but yeah. No, Mostert is definitely their best. Well,
yeah,
I would
he's
say,
been their
yeah.
weapon all year.
he is a beautiful zone scheme runner because he's one
Mhm.
cut in north-south.
Boom.
That's what he is.
Right.
He's one cut up the
Hey,
field. I mean, that's why
I got the storyline. Kadarius Toney might miss the game for Kansas City, so we're picking Miami.
oh geez.
He's questionable. God, they need to cut that guy.
They tried to get
this
him on the
Chiefs
phone, but
D,
he
though,
dropped the call.
this Chiefs D has actually been, if there was a third
Phenomenal.
defense in the NFL, it's been just phenomenal. They're middle of the pack in rushing, but they're fourth in passing. They're second overall in points and yards, and they've
Yeah.
pretty consistently been up there. And Miami just can't. Don't they feel like the most fraudulent team in the league, even more so than Dallas to a degree, even though they beat Dallas? Like,
Then that's
so,
the
it
only
just feels
winning team they
so
beat.
tricky about Miami, where they just can't even compete with these good teams.
Well, and
They
one of the
compete
other things.
ish.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't even say that because they've got rocked a couple times. I mean,
Yeah.
The Baltimore game, they got rocked. And
Buffalo,
the only
that
team
first
they
one.
beat, they Buffalo twice. Not this past time, but
No, the
before
last
that,
one
they
they
got
actually
rocked.
played them close.
Yeah,
That was the
they
thing.
did all right. Well, they
And they played
lost
KC
leading.
close.
They lost leading into the game, but to
Mm-hmm.
me, I mean, one of the things that really helped out the Kansas City defense is they got a running mate with Chris Jones up at the front. They got I can't think
Yeah.
of his name. It's the Polish guy from Purdue,
Oh, yeah.
Karloftis or whatever his name is. Thank you.
Karloftis.
Thank you. That's that college education.
AK.
but-
Yeah, my college is knocking. It's just lacking. I'm just lacking that college knowledge.
But yeah, no, once they
So
got
it
him,
helps.
the only thing with it, I love Nick Bolton. I think he's a great middle linebacker. But
Yes.
the only thing that I've really noticed with the Chiefs is that they just can't take the ball away. I mean, Snead, who was a Pro Bowl snub, really balled out, but he only had 3 turnovers and that was 2 interceptions, and he led the team. I mean, they just don't take the ball. They stop people. They just don't take the ball back. And, that gives you extra possessions and stuff like that. And, really and truthfully, it's going to be a underperforming Chiefs offense against a very underperforming Miami defense in my eyes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and now missing
Turno-
Bradley Chubb and Phillips, so they're missing their best 2 pass rushers,
And Xavier
which is
Howard
going to
from
kill
our
him.
fan, who's
Huh?
I don't
Turnover
think has been there all year.
Turnover differential is one of my favorite categories to look at for teams who make deep playoff runs. I think
Mhm.
that's always indicative because you're always giving your offense a better
An
chance.
extra
Yep.
possession.
Yep. And yeah, so I think that's a huge predictor. I don't know what I'll look up the turnover differential, but
I'm pulling it
yeah,
up because that's
I
a
don't
really
know.
good one. I like it. The Chiefs are -11, and the
Yucky.
Dolphins are
They also have Tua, who is a turnover
+2.
machine.
So that's a
Yeah.
13 swing right there. Chiefs are -11. Yep, I'm looking at the right year, and Miami's
Well, you
+2.
even look at Tua right now. He threw for 29 touchdowns, but he threw for 14 interceptions. I mean, the dude.
I just don't
Somehow the
honestly. I think Tua
Bills
like really struggles against great defenses.
Must-
He's really just
He doesn't
falls
have-
off hard.
Bless you.
somehow the Bills are plus. How are the Bills +2 in turnover differential with Josh Allen's
That's
shenanigans?
insane.
Exactly.
That defense is so.
Oh my
Man,
gosh,
that's
incredible.
nuts.
Opportunistic.
You know what's
defense.
crazy
Let's
is
go.
Mahomes has actually had worse stats than. They're very comparable. 14 picks, 27 TDs in his
this is
worst
by far
season
his worst season. Yeah.
Dude, don't.
to Tua. And man,
That's what he was.
but
That's what he
Tua is
was
such an
attacking
indictment.
Jake, though.
When you got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Mostert, you should be the best damn quarterback in the league.
He doesn't have the arm for him. He has
He
all
doesn't
that
have the
speed.
arm for him. This guy doesn't. I've been on quarterbacks. Man, I could talk glowingly about Mahomes, even though he's got some flaws, obviously.
Mhm.
Tua's, man, when I say
You
he's
got-
not it, I don't mean he's a scrub, but their best case scenario for Tua would be to get an elite D and make the divisional round. That's their best case scenario. And
When they
that might be this
actually-
year, maybe, but I don't think so. I don't think they're
When-
going to go to Arrowhead and win,
when
even though
they actually
KC's
picked up
been
Mike-
wildly up and down.
When they actually picked up Mike White, I was actually super excited for him because Mike White actually has a cannon. If you ever watched any of the Jets games last year, he has a cannon. And
Yeah, they should have
really
rolled
and
with
truthfully,
him
I
instead
thought
of the
that
Zach
with his
Wilson
arm,
experience.
he probably would have been a better fit in some ways. I mean, Tua is still a good quarterback, but I was just never really impressed with him in when he played at Alabama. And when I was talking to my nephew, who is also a Miami Dolphins fan, this isn't even hindsight. I told him, I said, dude, y'all should go for Justin Herbert. And he was like, no, we're all about Tua and everything. I was like, so.
I still don't know about Herbert, but at least he's got a cannon. He'd be way better in that system launching it to Tyreek Hill.
I actually like Herbert. The only reason why we're kind of going off a little bit, but the only reason why Los Angeles was the way it was is because they just don't play defense. I mean, they're running through them like crap they're a goose. They can't stop anybody. You're not going to win a game. Defense wins championships.
Good point. What are you guys leaning on this?
This
like
is gonna be
I'm
really
leaning KC
It's gonna be a
in
really
a
good tweet.
frozen game with defense as the key. I'm leaning KC, even though they've been wildly up and down. They got just bullied by the Raiders. They couldn't handle it against Buffalo, who is, I think, a contender. Even though Allen to me just reminds me of Brett Favre, so much so. Like he can make some plays that nobody else can make in the league, even Mahomes. But you're on a roller coaster with Allen. We're gonna get into that game in a minute, but the Chiefs are 4-4 over their last 8, and there's something definitely wrong with them. But I think it's a really simple thing. They don't have a receiving threat. Rashee Rice is probably their best weapon.
That's Rashee Rice,
and he's not like ready yet to take over.
The Chiefs actually do not have a single
Kelsey's fallen
1,000-yard receiver this year, and that's including
Kelsey. So we talked about that. AK Kelsey was at over 900 yards with 4 games left. He missed the last game, so that's not fair. In the other 3 games, he had like 80 yards. So he didn't even top 1,000 yards, and he's just fallen off so hard. I don't know if it's that ankle or if it's Taylor Swift, if he's just hit that cliff. He's not. Why?
Kelsey?
In my opinion, Yeah, Kelsey, they were able to mask it last year, the losing Tyreek Hill, because they had more competent play at receiver, but Kelsey was still a weapon, and it's really not a weapon anymore
No, he's done.
at all. I think
He's
he's done.
He's hung it up.
Yeah,
I think.
and I
No,
think
he's
I
34.
wonder where KC's going to get their points in this game, but I think they're going to get enough, barely.
Yeah,
What do you guys
I think KC. I don't. It's a tough game. These elements. I mean, you remember when San Francisco and Green Bay played in that Frozen Bowl a couple of years ago? It came down
The
to
one
a
where
block
we got
punt.
the one where we got, yeah, the special teams killed us, and Rodgers can't play in the cold, and we got bullied.
So who's
Yeah.
better on special teams? Maybe that's the key. I don't know.
Probably
The kickers
KC,
are
but that's a
clutch
good
because
question.
Jason Sanders is really good, and I mean
Mhm.
Buckner.
I mean, this could be a field goal game. It could come down to like 18-15, something stupid like that. I was thinking 2017 KC wins by 3.
Yeah, I think
That's a
KC
tough one
wins.
though.
So I think you're about spot on with that prediction, to be honest, because I know if I was a receiver, I'd be like, I don't want to catch that.
Not from Mahomes with that rocket arm. It's gonna feel like a rock. He's throwing a
Yeah.
rock at you. A huge
Go in with
rock.
fingers, come out with stubs.
Yeah, your finger might fall off. We got one more fun one. I'm not that excited about this game. I just don't think Pittsburgh can do it without TJ Watt. This is the biggest spread. I don't see, unless Allen screws them, I don't see a scenario Buffalo loses this one. I think Pittsburgh's lucky to make the playoffs.
The wind's going to be blowing 25 to 40 miles an hour.
Oh, is the weather freaking terrible?
Yeah.
Let's look at.
Oh yeah.
What day are they
These two
playing?
AFC games.
That's Sunday?
Sunday at 1.
Let's look at the weather. Yeah, let's look at the weather. So I mean, there you go. But actually, that favors Buffalo because they can just pound Cook.
Well,
if they can do it.
Yeah, Cook is not really one of those running backs you really pound with, though.
Lenny Fournette is. I'll tell you that.
He is.
They pounded Cook against Dallas, and they destroyed him.
It's Dallas. Dallas is
Fair.
a finesse team.
Fair. They are a finesse team. So what I love about Dallas is they have not built their roster like they built it with some elite talent, but they have not built that roster to withstand a physical team in the playoffs, and they keep wondering what happens to him. And they have a quarterback that's as good as he is, Folds. So that's going to continue to happen to them. They run to San Fran, they're going to get bullied. They run into the Rams, I think they're going to get bullied. Detroit might even pull it off this time. Buffalo weather. Ooh, near record wind. Yeah.
It's Buffalo.
24 degrees on Saturday with winds gusting near 50 miles per hour. So it's going to be a run game. Ooh, interesting.
This couldn't favor Pittsburgh more. Like this is the best shot really Pittsburgh has to win, which is turn around, hand the ball off to Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, which they've been doing for the past 4 games, and they've been winning football games. Right. So, and the Bills aren't going to be. Yeah, I mean, they're going to try to throw it, but they're not really an intermediate passing throwing team, right? That's where Josh Allen has just not been effective.
Yeah.
So
it's just funny because I agree with you. That's
the weather has made this game
totally changed.
It's going to go.
That is the one scenario. Pittsburgh likes to muck it up. I get that. It's just funny against this team with this defense. Are they going to be able to run the ball? Buffalo's run defense is an elite. It's decent. It's 15th. They're 7th in pass D. So they're built to stop the pass. But in a game like this, can you stack the box and just 8 guys in the box and just stop Pittsburgh's? I mean, both teams should be doing that.
Oh no, it's going to be a 1930s special.
Agreed.
I mean, we're going back in time with this game.
I just, the funny thing is the weather totally changed the element. I just think like it's hard because I'm thinking like in good weather, I think Buffalo's miles better than Pittsburgh. I actually think Buffalo's one of the only chances to beat Baltimore, but the weather did totally change it, and it does favor Pittsburgh.
it flips it so much in Pittsburgh's favor because they've been playing hand the ball off game,
And
hand the ball off
Tomlin's a
football
hell of a
for like
coach.
4 weeks.
Hey, AK, I got a question for you, or Med.
Hmm.
What's the last few playoff games for Pittsburgh? What's Tomlin's record?
0-7.
Bring that into play here.
0-7. I don't think he's won
Are
a
you serious?
playoff game.
No
Yeah.
way. Really?
I'm pretty sure
Oh,
he's
he's won
lost like 6.
championships.
I know he lost that last one with Big Ben.
No, I think he's
Damn.
like I think he's lost like 6 or 7 playoff games in a row. not
He's
kidding.
how many playoffs wins for the Steelers in the
I'm
last
looking
10
it up right
years? Since 2011, they're 3-7 in the playoffs. He's 8-9 overall, even with that Super
Yeah.
Bowl win. So 3-7. So
And they were
that doesn't
loaded
really
with it
favor
when they had
Pittsburgh.
that Super Bowl win.
But those
I
3
just-
wins
I
probably
also
came
don't
in
like-
the early part.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's
did. I
true,
don't
too.
like
I'm telling you,
Buffalo's.
he's
True.
lost. I'm
The
telling you,
weird
he's
thing is, I
lost
don't like
6 in a
Buffalo's
row.
coach. I don't like Buffalo's coach at all.
They're going to be put to the test in this game to come up with an
Yeah, they
offensive
are.
scheme where Josh Allen can't throw it. But they've been kind of switching their offense too. They've been quick
Yeah,
pop
they have.
passes, try to establish the running game. Obviously having Josh Allen as one of the running backs who people around the
And they
football is
changed
an
it up
advantage.
after they let Ken Dorsey out too.
In that New
Yep.
England game, I pulled up some stats because they had been dominating the running game. And I'd Cook, so I stopped watching after I was out of the fantasy playoffs. In that New England game, they barely won. James Cook only had 48 yards rushing on 16 carries, only 3 yards a carry. They had a bunch of other guys come in. And then in
Yeah,
that last game against Miami, I'm pulling it up right now. Buffalo Cook had only 36 yards, so he had 2 really rough games in a row. So where are they going to get the rushing production? It's probably going to have to be Josh Allen.
Or they like Ty Johnson. I know that.
Yeah.
They
And
like
they
Ty
got
Johnson.
Burnett,
They
so
like Lenny.
they got a platoon if Cook can't get it done, which he hasn't the last. Let me pull up the game before that. I think he
Reals-
actually didn't have that great. I don't think he had that great of a
Pull that
game
up.
against the Chargers either.
Let me go on a little
He had that
monologue
game
here.
of his life against Dallas, but the
Go for
last
it.
3 weeks. Let me
This
look.
is the William and Mary Bowl because Joe
Yeah.
Brady was at William and Mary. Sean
So
McDermott was at
Buffalo
William and Mary.
Chargers.
Mike Tomlin was at William and Mary.
Oh yeah, he had only
William and
70
Mary
yards in
Bowl.
that game. So he's had 3 straight games. He's averaged less than 40 yards. Cook. I'm just looking at Cook. 3 in a row
Yeah, they get to.
since that
it's
explosion
a
against Dallas.
It's a platoon for them. He had his explosion. He caught the ball all over the place in that game. But Ty Johnson,
And he was just shredding them. He was just
they're
shredding
going to be cycling backs in and out. And then the other thing is,
Yeah.
we started the sausage dip train. with
Yeah,
the Buffalo
and
Bills.
I've been keeping
after we went up.
track of that.
It's 7-0, baby. We want to take
guess
all the
I'll
credit
have
for the
to-
Buffalo Bills' success.
I mean,
I
get
I
it.
like where
I'll
this
get some
show's
big
gone
dish
today with
pizza from Chicago. Start
Joe
with
and
You
gotta
AK. This
find
has been
some
fun.
sort
And
Gotta
Med,
find something.
You've got to find some sort of like weird angle to be like, this is like the rally monkey, in baseball, like sausage dip.
Yeah.
Ever since we started that, Bills now we have like a couple, like everybody makes it on Sundays now just because it's part of the gig now. You're like, you send a picture of all your ingredients. We're trying to get Bills Mafia involved so that they're dumping of any fan base that's going to dump a hot pot of sausage dip on themselves. It's Bills Mafia without a doubt.
oh, absolutely.
And then our
Matt,
buddy,
if we can get these two, I hope we can get AK and Joe to do this every week. That'd be awesome. This
Our
would be hella
buddy,
fun.
Sam, the punter, Sam Martin, got AFC Player of the Month, Special Teams Player of the Month. He was on fire the last month. He's the punter for the Bills. So
Punter for the Bills.
shout out to him.
Yeah.
That's our
I
guy.
actually, my ex-wife knew the kicker for Pittsburgh, which I thought was kind of nuts. Boswell. Always, and he went to. I know the high school he went to in Fort Worth. I lived right down the street from there. It was pretty fun. So
I played with.
I was like, hey,
Greg Hunt.
there's something. Not as cool as y'all's stories with your college stuff, though. I wish I'd played that long. I had, we're already at 2 hours and 20 minutes. I don't know if Matt's going to be up for this because we're running pretty late. I had a fun idea I wanted to do after our picks.
It's because I'm on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's like 11:30 there.
At work.
What are y'all thinking? Are you guys actually going to take Pittsburgh? I'm curious.
No.
Hell no.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm going Buffalo.
I didn't
I
even
think
really
they actually-
comment on this
I'm-
game because it was like, I mean,
I'm gonna go Buffalo by. I don't know where they're gonna get the points, but I think Pittsburgh's really gonna struggle. I actually think
Buffalo's
Pittsburgh's gonna
defense
cover
has
the
been
spread
playing
with the weather.
very well the last few
yes, they
weeks.
have.
They've
The
been
Bills
playing
D?
very well. Yeah.
And they,
Yeah, the Bills
I think
haven't
they
given
just
up
got
more
back.
than 22. That stupid Chargers game after Staley got canned. They haven't given up more
Chris,
than 22
thank you.
points in the last 5.
Yes, Chris. Let's go. Make
Thanks,
your sausage
Chris.
dip
Yeah.
on Sunday.
There you
Make your
go,
sausage
man.
dip.
We're getting some comments over 2 hours in.
Yeah.
Dang.
No, I'm still
Make
Look
seeing
at
some
that.
sausage
people.
Almost 2.5 hours. Well, if you want to
Look for the
hang, if I
tweet.
can talk these two into one last idea, maybe
Chris,
we'll
in
do
all
it.
honesty, you're probably about to watch me nod off over here.
No, maybe we'll tap. My idea I wanted to do, whether we do it today or next week, was I wanted to do a after the picks, but it's been a blast anyways. I wanted to do a draft. I hadn't gotten to do one yet, where we draft teams we want, and draft losers, but I don't think we can do both of them. So we draft teams that we think could actually win the Super Bowl, and we take turns. And I know who AK is. He's going to pick the Packers, so we're good. Well, you got the easiest one, man.
I want
I know
Bills
you're
Niners
taking.
so bad in the Super Bowl. I want Bills Niners so bad in the Super Bowl. That would just
If it wasn't Bills Niners, Bills Browns would be so much fun. Or sorry, Bills 49ers. No, I said it the wrong way. Browns 49ers. Flacco playing San Fran would be hella fun. That'd be.
then
I want to see Flacco in another Super Bowl.
game.
That'd be great, man.
I got a whole.
But I don't know about the Browns yet. We'll see.
I got a
So
whole
I'm taking
tinfoil hat
Buffalo.
theory.
Are we all taking Buffalo?
Yes. Oh yeah.
All right.
Chris, if you know,
I'm shocked I'm going against my dad's Steelers.
That's my dad's team too. So, in fact, all the stuff that you see on that jersey is stuff from when I went to the Hall of Fame and watched 6 Steelers get inducted with Peyton Manning. So, no, I definitely understand what you mean, Chris.
Well,
Nice.
I'll leave it up to y'all. If you're all up for my little game, we could try to do it in like 10 minutes and just do quick ones. But if not, no worries. I've had a fun show. It's up to y'all.
There is one thing I actually want to touch up on, and I wanted to do this with Joe.
Yeah.
AK Isaac. Who would you say will be next year's Detroit Lions, the team that really just pops out? And I could go ahead and go with mine. And I told kind of Joe, it's not the Green Bay Packers. You're already there. You're not going to pop after you've already been there. But a team that did not make the playoffs is a better way of putting it, and who potentially could really turn some heads. And the reason why I wanted to do it with Joe is because honestly, the team I was going to pick was Las Vegas. Because
that was actually
just seem like
that's a good one.
team that is just a quarterback away, or Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta. It'll be interesting to see what they do with their head coaches.
If the Jets could get a quarterback, I like them, but it just depends if they can get a quarterback. Because Breece Hall's electric, and they got Garrett Wilson, and they got some talent on that defense. I like the Jets. A lot of it depends on head coaches, because I like the Chargers too. If they can get the right coach in there, they've got so much top end talent. If they can get the right coach to extract that, they could.
I guess it was about that.
They could really light it up.
I'm picking the Bengals. If they can get their quarterback healthy. I'm kidding. That's an easy one. Joe Burrow.
Okay, I'm gonna shock you guys. Well, I think the Packers could hit 11, 12 wins next year. If the Bears do this right, they could be in for some good times. If they've got so many options. If they get the right quarterback, because they could flip this one for Hall, and they still got number 9, and they've got draft space. They've got cap space. They've got so many options. I don't know if they'll be able to hit it this year, but long term, if the Bears can get that quarterback, they could fill so many other holes in that roster too.
I think that
I just don't know if I trust them to do it. But
the Bears defense the last half of the year was really, really good.
Yes, it was. That's why the Packers thing was so impressive, because the Bears D had been playing good and we shredded them. It was impressive.
Yeah, I'm going to say, Chris, you're right. I think the Vikings are going to have a rough year. I think who was the guy that the Vikings drafted in the in the
Jaron-
draft last
Aaron
year.
Hall.
Okay, thank you. I was
yeah.
my
The
mind
one who
went
couldn't throw the
blank.
ball.
Yeah.
The ball just went.
They went
Oops.
to Jaron.
They went to Jaron.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a fun one really quick. We won't do the other one. Who is going to have the biggest drop off next year?
Ooh, who's in the playoffs? There it is.
I think Philly might be in for a rough day.
Philly's a good choice. Trying to go through all the playoff teams in my head.
I'm going through my head right now too.
Baltimore, probably not them. Buffalo, is in an interesting spot, but they still got Josh Allen, so you got to think they're
Their
going to be
window is
decent.
closing though.
Kansas City, Joe. The problem with Kansas City is all they got to do is go and get a receiver, and they got an elite D and that running game. Unless Andy Reid retires, KC, they just got to get a pass catcher or two.
Joe's back.
Joe
Cowboys.
popped back in. He's like, hey, I got to talk on this one.
Cowboys.
Ooh, no.
So you got to pay
I
Dak.
had to go pick up I had to go pick up a treadmill that I just bought because my
There
New
you
Year's
go.
resolution is to get back in shape.
Get that jog on.
I'm gonna try to work on in the morning. That's smart, man. Good call.
Yeah,
He left
dude,
the
I
show to
used
get a
be in
treadmill.
good
What a
shape.
noble cause. I love it.
I had to, man. I got a good deal on it, and it's a nice treadmill. And like I
you
used to
go.
be in really good shape. I was running half marathons and stuff, and then I had
Oh
health
man,
issues
there
where I
you
had to have
go.
surgeries and I couldn't work out. So then now I'm back up like 280, and I want to drop that weight.
Get it,
There you
man.
go.
Yeah.
You were talking
We,
about which team you think is going to have the biggest fall off next year. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
Kansas City,
Mm.
to be honest with you. No, and I'm not
Did-
just saying that because I'm a Raider fan. I'm saying
No,
that because
I get that.
the cupboards are bare at receiver. Travis Kelce is a year
Oh,
older,
well, that's for sure.
and like they're going to lose Chris Jones in free agency. I just
But
think that they're
the
primed.
defense.
Their defense is still good, but without Chris Jones, I don't know if it's going to be what it was like, and they're not going to be able to replace him in the draft. I mean, even if they get a new defensive tackle, let's say they even get the best defensive tackle in the draft, Newton, like he's not going to come out his rookie year and be Chris Jones. So I think that their secondary is good, and that will keep them in games. But I think they're going to fall off the most. Meaning, like I don't think they win the division next year. I think depending on who the Chargers get at coach and how many of their veterans they're able to keep, because they're like 35 million over the cap right now. And then Denver is depending on what Denver does with Russ, and then depending on what quarterback the Raiders end up taking, or if they, we'll see what they do.
Denver's in for a rough day with that cap situation.
I see the Raiders as being on the rise. I see Denver as like they're not quite on the rise, but they're not on a decline. Like Russ,
but if they eat Russ's contract, it's going to be worse than the cap hit the Packers just took with Rodgers.
Yeah,
so
but they also have the good news for them is that they have a decent draft pick, so they can draft a quarterback and have him on a rookie contract.
They didn't lose any. They didn't lose any of those Russ picks for this year, right? Second rounder. They lose any?
I thought all the picks to Seattle have already gone to. I think
maybe they have.
It was for 2 years. I think it was the firsts and the seconds.
Hey, I also love that you hop back on. AK had a cool name for our show. If we do this as our show, when the blitz hits the fan, what do you think? You like it?
That's cool.
Yeah, I like it. Or blitz hits the fan, something like that. If it's available, I think me and Matt are going to talk some more, but
yeah,
I think we're liking it. Okay, so you got KC. Man, I kind of like that point. I just like the other pieces on D. Like I really like Snead, and I like Mahomes and Reed, but I don't blame you because I think the Raiders.
What are they going to do offensively? Like,
I think they're gonna go out there. They're gonna have to go out and around
they got the
Rice
greatest quarterback on the planet. He can make everybody else.
But he hasn't been doing it this year, though. That's the problem.
Their receivers suck. I think they're gonna seriously strip them up. I think they're gonna cut. I think they're gonna cut a few guys for sure.
It's like there's this lady on Frozen Tundra Network. Her name's Lene. She has this saying, you can't throw crap on you can't throw water on crap and call it gravy. So
I like that.
Like that's describing the Chiefs wide receiver core right there. Like
yeah, for sure.
Tom Brady.
Although
you got Casey.
Rice shows promise. Like I'm gonna be honest. Like Rice shows promise, but they need somebody else, and they'll try to draft him. But by the time KC drafts, like You know, you're going to have Marvin Harrison's off the board. Adunze is going to be off the board for sure. Like all the top receivers are going to be off the board, so they're going to be stuck with a second-tier guy, taking a second-tier guy in the first round.
Well, they could get Troy
Unless they go
Franklin
defense,
from
like,
Oregon.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
an
he
option.
might be still there. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna stick with one pick. I'm gonna go Philly. I think that they're completely screwed on defense, and the Hurts contract is continuing to go up. They've got AJ Brown. They've got talent on offense, but that defense is so piss poor, and I think they've got a culture problem that's been coming to light here. They've got the worst linebacking core in the league. They're gonna have to restock that defense, and I don't think they have a lot of. I got to look at their cap space, but I think Philly might actually miss the playoffs next year.
Here's another one. How about the Browns? Because
that was what I thought about because of the
Flacco's
quarterback spot.
Because Flacco's on whatever contract, like if they're going to keep Flacco and roll with him next year.
I like
Otherwise,
that one.
they're back to Deshaun Watson, and we've seen how Deshaun Watson is playing in Cleveland. Like, I think the year or two out hurt his game, dude. To be honest with you, like,
I got another one.
What if Miami?
What if Tyreek Hill loses that fast twitch?
I can't be the only one who sees that Deshaun Watson doesn't look like the same quarterback that he was.
Deshaun Watson doesn't look like he should even be a starter, honestly.
I don't think he cares.
He looks that bad.
Well, he's got that guaranteed money now.
Yeah, well, he's getting paid no matter what. But
yeah,
he's I mean, as an NFL quarterback, like, you got to have some competitive nature in you. You would think that he just to want to be the best, like, to be that guy. You would think that he would have some sort of drive. I think but to me, it's not I don't look at it as a motivation issue. I look at it as a talent issue. Like, he's missing passes that he didn't miss before. And, I just think that, I don't know what happened to his
I think they're better off with somebody else, but they're screwed. It's even more screwed than the Russ one.
I don't know if it's karma for all those sexual assaults. It's like Space Jam.
I don't feel bad.
Like
I don't feel bad for the guy.
Stole his talent or something.
Like, he doesn't care, which means he doesn't.
He doesn't care. This guy's an awful human being. If any of that's true, like, he doesn't give a shit. He does not care.
That affects his detail, like his attention to detail.
This is worse than the Kyler Murray thing. Like, there's a real problem there. Like,
I can handle Kyler Murray playing video games, but when your quarterback has sexually assaulted like 27 women, that's.
I got another one for y'all. I think Miami is top heavy as they are. I love Tyreek Hill, but if he loses a half a step, while I love McDaniels, he can scheme a good run game. They were fraudulent this year, and they've got some talent on D at some spots, but they're going to struggle now with, I can't remember the kid's name. He's hilarious. That defensive tackle for them. He's going to free agency. They've got they've got some contracts coming up. They got Jalen Waddle. I think Miami could be in some trouble. I don't believe in Tua myself.
Yeah, the rest of that division is so bad outside of Buffalo.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's saving them. Like, New England and the Jets are, like, New England's got a complete, rebuild on offense, and the Jets are praying Aaron Rodgers, 40-year-old ace, Achilles holds up.
The one team that I'm thinking of right now that I think is going to fall off, and they just barely squeaked in, is the Bucks, because they're losing a lot of players after this season. They're going to be losing Mike Evans. They're going to be losing Devin White, Levante David. They got like 20-something people.
Is Godwin a free agent?
Godwin is not on this list, but Antonio Winfield, who is also a Pro Bowl snub, is on this list. And they just got so many key players they're going to have to pay. They can't pay them all. And I really think that, really and truthfully, Mike Evans is going to be bolting out of there anyway, because, he's getting up there in age. He's going to probably want a championship. So who knows? He might be a player that,
could he won one, but yeah, that's a good point. He did get one with the Bucks, but yeah, I could see that.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did get one. I mean, but he
might want to go get another one. He's an all-time great, so he might. Yeah. He's done something not a lot of the guys have done. It's weird. He's never been thought of as one of the absolute best receivers, but to do 10 straight years of 1,000 yards, I mean, we're getting into like, who else has done that? That's Jerry Rice kind of territory. Even though he's not on that level, it's pretty special what he's done.
And he does.
And he could. And he could still play. Oh, Joe's out.
Oh, all right. I'm gonna hop out. I gotta.
Guys, this was a blast. I hope we can make this our panel. I think that was it, man. Med, we're gonna talk some, but I think that was really cool. I got a little too excited about the Packers. I'm sorry. If they lose, I'll
Dude,
barely
it's
talk next
playoffs.
week. Watch me.
Be sorry.
Next week they lose, I'm gonna sit here and be like, no one cares.
Okay.
Football's
Okay, as a
stupid.
No,
Bears fan.
no,
We're
I'm
doing
just
an
happy we're
NBA
here.
show.
Sadly as that is. And next week is there's gonna be some hella fun matchups. You already know it, depending on what happens here. So
I gotta shave my beard and cut my hair before we decided that before the games start on Saturday is when your playoff beard starts. So I have to,
Mhm.
no matter whether your
there you
team's
go.
playing or not this weekend.
Hey,
Playoffs
we
start.
will we'll talk about the name, and if y'all are actually game, we'll create a Twitter and a YouTube and Facebook, and we can have access and plug, because it'd be fun not to be the only one doing that. So
Yeah.
Med does all of his shit, and I know AK you do too. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put out a tweet of the turnover differential.
there you
here in a
go.
second.
That's
So
actually
yeah,
key
we'll talk,
too.
man. I hope I hope we can do it again, whether it's a show or not. That was fun.
All right,
And then I
fellas.
got to come on yours
Thanks,
for that
everybody.
interview, man. I'm overdue. Sorry.
Yes, we gotta do that. I wrote all the thing up. It's ready to go.
Okay.
I just gotta
Cool.
we just gotta
Next week would probably be good. I'm Box Pro just asked me to hop on, which is cool. Next
Nice.
Friday. So I've got a show with Bill. We're just doing picks tomorrow, and then I'm doing one with Ben Holloway from Debt Taxes and Sports on Sunday morning at 10:30
Nice.
a.m. Eastern. Just a Packer Cowboy 30-minute preview.
Yes.
And if you want, go ahead and plug your show too, Millie. I mean, there's a
Oh.
couple people that are actually from my group in here.
Nice. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Oh,
I love
thank you.
talking ball. We love talking ball.
Right.
The
Yeah.
Millie Goats
2.5
on
hours.
Twitter, Instagram, the Millie Goats. Anywhere you find your podcast, just type in the Millie Goats. I think we're on all of them. We have no idea. We just figured out how to do a one link. We talk a lot of DraftKings too. We play DFS, but we talk a lot of other stuff. Like we're all dads. We work a lot and we're married,
we do.
so there's a lot of dad humor in there, of course. But yeah, our Twitter page, YouTube, Rumble. We don't have a Facebook, and that little thing down there, the GPP, that's one of the big
Yeah.
DraftKings tournament I won the other weekend. It was awesome.
Getting it.
Oh, I was going to ask what
Yeah,
that was.
It's the big out of 119,000 people in DFS on a showdown. I finished first.
No
Nice.
way.
And that was
119,000?
yes.
Heck yeah,
I tied
man.
with
I don't know
like
if you won
20
money, but
people,
that's some bragging rights regardless.
we did win money. We won money.
I was gonna
Well, hey,
say.
that helps too. That's like extra. It's like I'm first out of almost 120,000 people,
Yes.
and I won some money.
The win
There you
was
go.
cool because you're like, are you ever going to win one of these things? And it's possible.
Nice,
So,
man. That's
anyways,
legit.
Thanks everybody.
And
So Millie Goats,
I-
we do a show Sunday night and Wednesday night. We go
So
into
yeah,
golf
he's already
season,
got
too.
one
When
twice a
football's over,
week. So I didn't know if he'd be available for our show, but I'm hoping
dude,
so.
everybody goes to bed in my house at like 9 to 9:30 our time. So I'll let you know. Like I told you tonight, it's like the kids are still awake, and if I love doing.
Well,
this,
I'd like to start to schedule the Fun Football Pod to be a night a week, and then if we do this one, that another night, that I know my 2 nights, and then I can decide if I want to do Frozen Tundra or other stuff, or Game On or whatever. So.
And for me, my name is Med. I have a co-host Seth that is usually with me. Shots from the Sidelines. We usually go on Tuesdays around 7:30, typically Eastern time, and basically talk football. Well, he's bigger on college football than I am, and I'm more NFL. But we are.
I saw his eyes
a little
just
NBA
like
on there.
his eyes just went like this once we were talking college on
Yeah.
Tuesday. They like glowed, and I was like, I'm gonna let you cook, man, because I don't even know my stuff.
Oh, he's a huge Falls fan, which kind of I like to rib
Hilarious.
on him
Go ahead
quite a
and say it.
bit. Huh?
It's hilarious. Said it's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's a Vols fan.
He's a Vols fan.
Yes, that's funny. That's
Yeah.
great content. That's what that is.
Mhm.
They're like
Yeah,
the Cowboys of college
I'll sit
football. It's
there
our
and-
year, baby.
Hey, I gotta say thank you guys for doing this for so long. You both are on the East Coast, so Med, thank you for staying awake and
Thank you.
letting me spew. And
you're good,
it was
dude.
fun, man. It was good stuff.
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
this cooked. Seriously, I liked it.
All right, gentlemen.
I forgot to shout out it's me and J-Vi and Butch P and Tex. There's 4 of us. We all played college ball. And we just try to bring in a different perspective into the into the football.
And
ranks.
I got to shout out
Thanks,
Bill
Chris.
for doing the show with me. He's the other host of the Fun Football Pod. And he'll be back tomorrow. He was in Disney, and we will be in full Packers gear if you guys can check it out. That'll be a much shorter show, I guarantee it. But we're gonna be just it's gonna probably be 30 minutes of straight Packers content. So just if you can tolerate that much, especially Med.
Oh,
I mean, I've
love
seen all the.
Packers
Hey, I
football.
gave you a shout out though. I said y'all could be the biggest riser next year, and that wasn't even
Oh,
just me
I
sucking up.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I figured you'd like that one.
I'll probably go on to Frozen Tundra every now and then and chop
You
it
know,
up too.
So, AK, have I told you about Frozen Tundra?
Briefly.
So they are a Packer only show, and they brought 2 Bears fans on last week. And actually, the Bears fans were respectful. The Lions guy weirdly got so pissed that was it Med? Was it you that got him?
It was me. I pissed off the Lions fan because I told
he was
him
not having a good
him
day.
the truth about his team.
Yeah, that was hard for him to take.
Fugazis.
He couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle the truth.
I just told him, hey, you won your first championship since 1993. I mean, congratulations.
Yeah.
Soft.
So I think I want to run this one with Med on Thursday or Friday, so it's not the same days as my Fun Football.
Mm-hmm.
So, AK, you run Wednesdays. So yeah, maybe Thursday or Friday nights we can do this. That'd be fun.
Wednesday and Sunday are what we do.
So Thursdays would be good.
Thursdays are probably the best.
Or if Med ever moves this show, we could do it Tuesday nights. That'd be cool too. Either one, because Bill's actually busy Tuesdays, so I could do Tuesdays.
Well, the only reason why I have to do Tuesdays is because Seth has he's in an adult kickball league, which I'll be honest is actually really fun.
It's actually pretty cool, man. I would do that.
And he wanted me to join up this year, and I was like, dude, I'm 43 freaking years old. I said I pull a muscle just getting up sometimes.
Don't do it.
So
you don't need to pop an Achilles.
Exactly.
I see people all the time come in.
Oh, dude, I pulled a quad. Kicking the
That's
ball.
a hard thing to do.
Yeah. So
my wife makes fun of me. I'm starting to have pain getting up in the morning. I'm only 35, but yeah, I'm like, God, I'm getting old. I'm almost 36. It's gonna suck.
But
start exercising. Hey, start lifting weights. Start walking.
Hey, I'd been doing
I'm
that.
gonna be hitting the gym again.
Yeah, I know. My wife's laughing at me. I need to start. I started lifting over the break and then got sick. I need to start doing it again. But I was, I'm going to say I was really, really happy. A student said they thought I was 25 today. I was like, hell yeah, there we go. 25, I'll take it. Shaving all the grays off helped. AK, man, thanks for doing this, Matt. Thanks for doing it. I think this is going to be we're going to do the 2 of us and try to find a 3rd or 4th every week. I think that's kind of what we're leaning towards. So be hella fun.
Nice.
I am taking a break from Fun Football Pod after the season ends for a couple weeks for sure, just to decompress, and then I'll warm it back up for the draft. So
you need to every now and then.
AK, other than the mock draft guy, if you know anybody for that mock draft one too, we got to talk about that coming up and after the season.
Oh yeah.
So
we'll all get together in like a messenger or something to really actually like.
How many is the StreamYard? How many does it cap you at?
I could get up to 10.
Well, then we're set because we're going to be 8 or 10, and we got the 3 of us. Joe, mock draft guy. We're already at 5. If we can get 3 more, we're set.
So an idea would be we can each at least take our favorite team, because then we're actually interested in that at least, and do like that little wheel thing that they have and randomize the other 3 teams.
Ooh, I like that. That's good.
So,
I like it. I'm game.
So that way it's a little bit of intrigue.
That'd be cool.
Do you get the Carolina Panthers, which you won't have to worry about anything for the first round? Or do you get
easy one?
Yeah. Oh, I'm picking no one. Anyway, thank y'all.
Thanks, guys, for the people that stayed on, Chris and a few others. I still see 3 people watching on YouTube after almost 2 hours and 45 minutes. So, and my phone's at 5%. AK, we'll talk about the interview. I will see you, Fun Football fans, tomorrow night. And I'll see you guys Sunday morning. Med, I'll talk to you in a little bit, man. AK, I'll talk to you in a little bit. Thanks, guys. This was an awesome first show.
Outstanding.
Go Packers.